Phoenix Nights. Chapter 970. The ancient stone door exuded an aura of infinite antiquity, as if it had existed since the beginning of the world. It was covered with the marks of time. It was covered with the marks of blades, spears, swords, and axes. It was as if someone had attacked this stone door. In the middle of the stone door, there was a jet-black palm print. The palm print had sunk half an inch deep into the stone door. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence could leave such a palm print on the stone door. Gu Fei's outstretched right hand was about to touch the stone door when he discovered the palm print. This shocked him so much that his outstretched hand stopped in midair. It was a slender palm. It could be seen that it was the palm of a woman. Moreover, it was a right palm. Countless years ago, a supreme existence had attacked this stone door. It was a female saint of the extreme path. Gu Fei retracted his outstretched right hand and took out the purple gold divine sword. With the sword in hand, he stabbed out. Ding! The tip of the purple gold divine sword was like a cold star that touched the stone door. Gu Fei felt his wrist shake. He looked carefully and saw that there was not even a mark on the place where the purple gold divine sword had stabbed. He could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even a divine weapon of the extreme path could not leave a mark on the stone door. But countless years ago, there was a female saint who had left a palm print on it. Only the legendary saints of the extreme path would have such ability. The stone door was stabbed by the purple gold divine sword, but it did not budge. The power of Gu Fei's stab was not weak, but it still could not shake the ancient stone door. The aura that emanated from behind the stone door was the power of heaven and earth from another world. There was another world behind the stone door. This was something that Gu Fei had vaguely expected. Gu Fei was not surprised. He switched the sword to his left hand and took a step forward. Without any hesitation, he placed his right hand on the stone door. Bam! Boundless divine power burst forth from Gu Fei's hand. He pushed forward, and a dull sound of impact rang out. It was as if a mountain was slamming against a stone door. A ferocious force surged out from Gu Fei's right hand, shaking the surrounding void and sending the bones beside the stone door flying. Some of the skeletons were directly shattered into powder and dissipated in the void. A circle of transparent ripples spread out in all directions with Gu Fei's right hand as the center. With this push, Gu Fei had already used 50% of his strength, but the stone door did not show any signs of being pushed. It still only opened a small gap. Gu Fei was secretly alarmed. Could it be that this stone door was even heavier than a mountain? The force of his push was enough to topple a huge mountain. He put away the purple gold divine sword, and a three realms Buddhist lamp that could illuminate the three realms floated above his head. He pressed his hands on the stone door and pushed it forward. 60%, 70%, 80%. Gu Fei's strength was increasing. His qi and blood were as vigorous as a dragon. His inner breath surged, and there seemed to be dragons moving through his meridians. With 100% of the power of the king martial body, Gu Fei used all his strength without holding anything back. It was as if a barbaric dragon had awoken in his body, and the strength of his physical body was unleashed to the extreme. Perhaps even a real barbaric dragon's body would not be as strong as Gu Fei's. Even 100% of the power of the king martial body can't push it. Gu Fei was even more shocked. This ancient stone door was actually much heavier than the primordial sacred mountain. I don't believe that I can't push it open. Gu Fei was determined as he continued to increase his strength. His sleeves were immediately shattered by the surging power, and blue veins appeared on his arms. Roar! Gu Fei roared as he used all his strength. The clothes on his upper body were immediately torn apart by the mighty power that surged out from his body. 120% of the power of the king martial body! Gu Fei shouted in his heart. Just as Gu Fei desperately urged the power of the king martial body to the limit, the stone door finally moved. Rumble! The two stone doors were like two ancient mountains being pushed, slowly opening inward. Gu Fei's qi and blood surged violently, and it was as if there were huge dragons circling around him. The void of the 365 acupoints on his body lit up, and endless divine power surged out. In the void of each acupoint, there was a god presiding. It was the life god that Gu Fei had cultivated. Each life god was a Gu Fei. Of course, this wasn't independent. The life god, in the void of the 365 acupoints, was an existence formed by Gu Fei's life and divine will. It wasn't a clone, but it was better than a clone. As long as there was a life god, even if Gu Fei's body was destroyed and his life was cut off, he could be reborn and return. It could be said that Gu Fei, who had cultivated a life god, had 365 lives. Roar! Gu Fei roared again and again. His roar echoed in the sky above the ancient battlefield, breaking the peace of this area. The stone door was gradually opening under the power of the 120% of the king martial body. He didn't know what was behind the stone door, but Gu Fei didn't dare to be careless. The Three Realms Buddhist lamp was still floating above Gu Fei's head, and endless Buddhist power fell from it, enveloping Gu Fei. As the stone door gradually opened, an even more powerful heaven and earth power came from behind the stone door, and there were traces of light coming from inside. Is there really a world behind the stone door? Gu Fei was shocked. This ancient stone door was exactly the same as the one that had appeared in the ancient desolation world. Gu Fei wasn't unfamiliar with this feeling. It was the heaven and earth power. When the stone door was pushed open enough for one person to enter, Gu Fei stopped and retreated. It wasn't completely dark behind the stone door. There was light coming from behind the stone door. Gu Fei didn't dare to act rashly. He had to observe the situation first. There was no guarantee that there weren't any dangers behind the stone door. If it was a killing trap set up by some supreme character who used the heaven and earth as a chessboard, going in rashly might be life-threatening. Gu Fei stared at the stone door for a long time as if he was facing a great enemy. However, there was no movement behind the stone door, and there was no strange aura coming from it. It seemed as if there was nothing wrong. The stone door that had appeared in the ancient desolation world had a demonic shadow inside that could kill immortals and gods. It was an undying killing intent that was extremely terrifying. This stone door was exactly the same as the one in the ancient desolation world, and it seemed to be even more ancient than the one in the ancient desolation world. Could this be the real legendary ancient heaven gate? Thinking of this, Gu Fei couldn't help but feel excited. If this stone door was really the legendary ancient heaven gate, then Gu Fei would be able to enter and exit the legendary heaven realm at will. However, no one knew if this stone gate was the legendary ancient heaven gate, and no one knew what was behind the stone gate. Chapter 971. With the Three Realms Buddha crown above his head and the violet gold godly sword in his hand, Gu Fei was armed to the teeth as if he was facing a great enemy. As soon as he stepped through the ancient stone door, Gu Fei felt a vast aura of the world surging towards him. It was an aura that could only be found in this world. There is indeed another world ahead! Gu Fei was secretly shocked. This ancient stone door was actually the same as the stone door that had appeared in the primeval desolation world. It was connected to an unknown world. Could it be that this ancient stone gate was really the legendary gate of heaven? The Three Realms Buddha lantern illuminated the path ahead. There was an ancient path paved with white bones. It wasn't long, only a few miles, but it was a path of bones. Gu Fei couldn't help but be astonished. Behind the gate was a path paved with white bones. This was something Gu Fei didn't expect. This ancient path was paved with white bones. Every bone was sparkling and translucent like jade, like immortal divine jade. This was definitely the remains of someone above the level of immortals. Moreover, this path had existed for countless years and was covered in a layer of bone dust. The bones had decayed and lost their divinity, turning into bone dust. This was what shocked Gu Fei. From the looks of it, these bones that hadn't lost their divinity were even more extraordinary. They were likely the remains of existences that surpassed the immortal realm. In other words, these bones that hadn't lost their divinity were definitely the bones of monarchs, or even celestial sovereigns. Although the path was only a few miles long, it made Gu Fei's heart palpitate. How many grand completion divine monarchs, grand completion immortal monarchs, and even immortal sovereigns and Shin King's skeletons were needed to pave such a path? It was clear that something terrible had happened in the past. Countless monarchs and above had fallen, and their remains were paved into an ancient path. Could this ancient path really be an ancient path leading to the heavens? Gu Fei stopped after seeing this ancient path paved with divine bones. He couldn't help but be lost in thought for a moment. He calmed himself down and continued forward. He stepped on this ancient path, and the moment he did so, he seemed to see a terrifying scene. The world was collapsing, and countless celestial gods fell from the sky. Countless more celestial gods rushed into the sky like moths to a flame, charging into a dark and terrifying world. Large swathes of immortal gods collapsed, and the blood of immortal gods stained the ground red. Gu Fei's heart trembled. Just as he was about to get a clearer look, the various phenomena that appeared in front of him disappeared in an instant, as if they had never appeared. Inextinguishable fighting spirit! Cold sweat seeped out of Gu Fei's forehead. He was completely shocked. The illusion just now came from the countless divine bones under his feet. It was the undying will of these ancient immortals that had fallen countless years ago. Although his body and soul had been destroyed, leaving only his skeleton behind, his fighting spirit had not dissipated with the passage of time. What terrible thing happened back then? Gu Fei muttered to himself. This was definitely a great change that could destroy the world. It was most likely related to the collapse of the primitive world. It was a real calamity of the world. The primitive world was a legendary world. It was a great era where experts stood in great numbers. The primitive world was incomparably prosperous, and there were even figures of supreme saints appearing from time to time. Such a great era had suddenly come to an end. No one knew why. Even the oldest books in the Tinglong continent didn't have records of this. However, some people guessed that all this seemed to be the doing of the demons. Some said that the primitive world was destroyed by the war of gods and demons. However, there was no evidence to prove that the supreme demon ancestors of the primitive world destroyed the primitive world. Who paved this ancient path? No one answered Gu Fei. Perhaps only the supreme saint who had disappeared between the heavens and the earth could answer Gu Fei's question. This was because the people who had the ability to destroy the primitive world were precisely those supreme saints. Gu Fei walked on the ancient path paved with the skeletons of ancient immortals and gods. Step by step, he walked very slowly and was very careful with every step he took. He had no choice but to do so. No one knew what would happen if he walked on this ancient path. A few miles wasn't long, but Gu Fei felt as if he had walked for a lifetime. Time seemed to have stopped, causing him to feel a suffocating pressure. At the end of the ancient path was an exit. Gu Fei finally walked past the ancient path paved with divine bones and arrived in front of the exit. He looked out from the exit and could vaguely see some scenery. A wave of power of the world that was different from any other world came from the front. The aura of a world was unique. Even the aura of Gu Fei's inner world was different from other worlds. Just like a person's soul, the world also had its own unique imprint. In front of him was a world that Gu Fei had never seen before. There was no doubt about it. Whether the world in front of him was the legendary heaven realm or not, no one knew. Gu Fei was very curious, but he wasn't in a hurry to enter the world in front of him. Only when he felt that there was no danger in front of him did he move forward. The moment Gu Fei walked out of the ancient path, he was immediately stunned by the scene in front of him. It was a broken world. Earth, water, wind, and fire were wreaking havoc everywhere. The earth was sinking and stars fell from the sky. The power of the world was chaotic to the extreme. Huge cracks in the void kept appearing and disappearing in the void. The sky had been pierced. The power of the world couldn't repair the broken earth and the void. Many wild beasts were roaring. Pitch-black lightning descended from the sky, tearing the world apart. A wild beast standing on a mountain peak was swept by the black lightning and instantly turned into ashes. Even the mountain that the savage beast was standing on had been cut in half. This world wasn't completely devoid of life. On the contrary, the life here was so strong that it could be said to be abnormal. Some of them could actually survive the bombardment of the black lightning. All the life was struggling in this world that seemed like it could be destroyed at any time. Roar! Suddenly, a wild beast that was surging with monstrous divine fire discovered Gu Fei. It roared and directly pounced at Gu Fei. Rumble! The divine fire covered the sky and shook the whole world. It was an unknown wild beast that had the head of an ancestral dragon, but no dragon's body. It was very similar to an unknown Qilin. Oh no! Seeing this, Gu Fei's expression changed. This wild beast was many times stronger than the fire Qilin Balan. The vast and terrifying pressure almost suffocated Gu Fei. Chapter 972. Gu Fei didn't expect that there would be an ancient path made of white bones behind the ancient stone gate. He also didn't expect that at the end of the ancient path, there would be a destroyed world. In this world, earth, water, wind, and fire, the four great powers of heaven and earth were wreaking havoc. The earth was sinking, the sky was collapsing, and the stars were falling. The heaven and earth energy was no longer able to repair this damage. However, it miraculously maintained this state of destruction in a delicate balance. All sorts of violent heaven and earth energy gushed out from everywhere in this world. Although they weren't able to destroy this world, the laws of this world were already on the verge of collapse. It would be difficult to repair this world. In this world, there were countless creatures struggling on the edge of death. Some of these creatures were so powerful that even sect masters would tremble in fear. What is this place exactly? Gu Fei was dumbfounded by everything that was happening before his eyes. This was a destroyed world, and this world was about to come to an end. This was a horrifying scene that could destroy the heavens and earth. The chaotic heaven and earth energy caused Gu Fei to feel a great sense of danger. At this moment, a nearby fire-type savage beast discovered Gu Fei. With a roar, it set off a raging inferno and pounced at Gu Fei ferociously. A terrifying aura surged up to the sky. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Gu Fei, causing him to be unable to breathe. Gu Fei turned pale with fright. This beast was extremely terrifying. Boom! A scarlet beast claw the size of a mountain directly reached out from the towering flames and grabbed towards Gu Fei. A vast amount of energy surged out from the beast's claw, directly tearing apart the void. Swish! With a single thought from Gu Fei, the Buddhist lamp of the three realms hovering above his head immediately emitted a resplendent tricolored Buddhist light. This auspicious Buddhist light illuminated half the sky. Boundless Buddhist energy spread out, dispersing all the violent qi. This was a power that could calm one's heart. It even dispersed the heaven and earth energy of the beast. Roar! The savage beast roared. The towering divine fire dissipated like snow under the tricolored Buddhist light. The savage beast sensed danger and retracted its claws. Buzz! Gu Fei shook the violet gold divine sword in his hand. The divine sword immediately let out a buzzing sound and a bone-chilling sword chi spread out from the violet gold divine sword. The temperature of the entire world seemed to plummet due to the fluctuations of the sword chi. The aura of the extreme Tao Saint weapon caused the savage beast that was pouncing towards Gu Fei to stop and roar uneasily. Swoosh! A 1,000-meter-long sword light shot up into the sky. Gu Fei didn't hesitate and directly slashed towards the beast in the sky. The heavens and earth were cleaved into two by the sword light. Everywhere the sword light passed, the void was destroyed. The terrifying sword chi caused the entire world to shake. Rumble! Affected by the impact of the divine power that erupted from the purple gold divine sword, the area nearby began to shake. The chaotic heaven and earth energy became even more chaotic. Pitch-black cracks in the sky continued to fall, strangling everything. Huge mountains collapsed under the cracks in the space. Torrential water gushed out from the ground, drowning the heavens and the earth. There were also earth fire veins that ruptured and released towering divine fire of the earth, turning the area into a sea of fire with lava flowing everywhere. There were also terrifying astral winds that could blow huge mountains away. The savage beast that was surging with divine fire was so frightened that it immediately turned and fled. The sword chi that erupted from the violet gold divine sword made the savage beast feel a great threat. However, the sword that Gu Fei slashed out was extremely fast. The purple gold sword light rushed up and tore apart the heavens and earth. In an instant, the savage beast was cleaved into two and fell from the sky. The savage beast that was even more terrifying than a sect master was cleaved into two by Gu Fei. It didn't even have a chance to escape before it died. After the purple gold sword light killed the savage beast, it didn't dissipate. It continued to slash forward for more than 10 miles before dissipating into the void. Wherever the sword light passed, everything was destroyed. A huge void crack that was more than 10 miles long appeared in the void. The power of the violet gold divine sword slash was so powerful that it killed a savage beast that was even more terrifying than a sect master. This was the terror of a supreme saint weapon. Even if Gu Fei couldn't unleash the divine power of a supreme saint weapon, he could still easily kill a pinnacle expert that was a whole level higher than him. The aura of the Three Realms Buddhist lamp and the violet gold divine sword was vast and mighty. All the living beings in the destroyed world could sense the aura of these two supreme saint weapons. No more savage beasts dared to approach Gu Fei. All the savage beasts that sensed the aura of the supreme saint weapon retreated and didn't dare to approach the area where Gu Fei was. Swoosh! Gu Fei shot up into the sky and rushed towards the depths of this world. The depths of this world was the center of this world. It was also the source of the ancestral meridian of Earth. In the depths of this world, he might be able to find some answers. Why did this world become like this, and why it was on the brink of destruction? Could it be that the source of this world had been destroyed? Along the way, Gu Fei realized that the savage beasts in this world didn't seem to have developed spiritual intelligence. They all moved based on instinct. However, every savage beast was extremely powerful. If it weren't for the protection of the Supreme Saint weapon, the savage beasts would have been terrified of the aura of the Supreme Saint weapon. Even Gu Fei would have found it difficult to move an inch in this world. Rumble! When Gu Fei flew over a mountain ridge, a huge mountain suddenly cracked open. A gigantic black turtle that was as huge as a mountain climbed out and quickly retreated into the distance. Wherever the black turtle passed, countless mountains would crumble and crumble. As he neared the center of this world, a mountain ridge on the ground suddenly came to life. It soared into the sky, causing rocks and soil to collapse and dust to fill the sky. This was a mountain ridge. This was a giant snake, a giant black snake. The giant snake was like a giant dragon, and its body was as huge as a mountain ridge. This strange beast didn't attack Gu Fei. Like the other savage beasts, it quickly escaped into the distance. It was scared away by the aura of the Supreme Saint weapon. Fortunately, these savage beasts didn't develop spiritual intelligence. They were still beasts. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been scared away so easily. Even if Gu Fei had the Supreme Saint weapon, he would still be in trouble. When he neared the center of this world, where the ancestral meridian of Earth was, Gu Fei was stunned by the scene in front of him. Where the ancestral meridian of Earth was located, blood light soared into the sky and waves of blood surged. A giant figure that was as huge as a mountain was floating in the sea of knowledge. An aura that caused all living beings to tremble came from the front. This is... Gu Fei discovered that other than the giant figure, there were actually many corpses floating in the sea of blood. There were humans, beasts, and even demonic corpses with demonic chi lingering around them. These corpses didn't rot. Some were even lifelike. Chapter 973. Earth, water, wind, and fire rotated. This was a world that could collapse at any moment. This world was not as big as the ancient Chaos world or the pseudo-heaven world. This world was about the size of one of the 4 major regions of the Tanglong continent. It had a radius of 10 million miles. Chaotic aura surged everywhere. The laws of heaven and earth had almost completely collapsed. At the center of this world was the ancestral earth vein. It was a sea of blood that floated high in the sky. The stench of blood made Gu Fei frown. Pillars of blood that looked like giant blood dragons fell from the sea of blood and entered the ancestral earth vein. The sea of blood was actually extracting the spiritual energy of the ancestral earth vein. The sea of blood in front of him was frighteningly huge. It had a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Endless blood tumbled and surged. From time to time, there would be towering waves of blood, as if there was a terrifying beast swimming in it. Terrifying evil blood chi surged from the sea of blood. Even with the Three Realms Buddhist lamp, Gu Fei felt his heart palpitate. He was inexplicably shocked. No wonder this world was on the verge of collapse. It turned out that there was a sea of blood that was devouring the power of this world. This was simply too inconceivable. This was stealing the power of the heavens. Who was it that could use such a heaven-shocking method? Gu Fei could not speak for a long time. He was extremely shocked. The pillars of blood that fell from the sea of blood sank into the ground. A vast amount of spiritual energy was continuously extracted and gathered in the sea of blood in the sky. The power of the ancestral earth vein was being stripped. Gu Fei released his divine will and probed the sea of blood in front of him. However, the moment his divine will entered the sea of blood, an extremely powerful divine will suddenly erupted from the depths of the sea of blood. Buzz! Gu Fei felt his head spin. He felt a pain in between his eyebrows. A trace of blood seeped out from between his eyebrows. The divine will that he sent out was destroyed by another divine will that rushed out from the depths of the sea of blood. Roar! A deep and terrifying roar came from the sea of blood. The sea of blood in front of Gu Fei surged with raging waves, and a crimson palace that seemed to have fused with the sea of blood appeared in the sea of blood. This is... When Gu Fei saw this, his heart trembled. The blood-colored palace gave off a terrifying feeling. Gu Fei could sense a great danger from it. It was as if there was a peerless demon sleeping in the blood-colored devil palace. A terrifying demonic energy surged out from the devil palace. Demon? Gu Fei turned pale with fright. Never had he imagined that there would actually be the aura of a devil within this strange sea of blood. Could it be that all of this was caused by a devil? Perhaps only the legendary Supreme Demon Ancestor, who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Supreme Sage, had the ability to set up such a shocking plan and steal the power of heaven and earth. Gu Fei had alerted the devil, lurking in the sea of blood. Swoosh! Just as the blood-colored devil palace appeared from the depths of the sea of blood, the corpse of the giant floating in the sea of blood suddenly opened its eyes. Gu Fei's heart skipped a beat. He felt a dangerous aura suddenly enveloping him. It was as if he was being stared at by a hidden devil. He retreated without thinking. Boom! The sea of blood in front of him suddenly exploded. A huge figure rushed out of the sea of blood. The giant seemed to have suddenly come to life as it pounced out of the sea of blood. Desolate giant race? As Gu Fei retreated, he saw the giant's appearance. This giant's appearance was actually very similar to that of the desolate Aeon giant tribes, desolate Aeon giant tribes, desolate Aeon giant tribes, desolate Aeon giant tribe. However, the desolate giant that he had seen in the sky market couldn't be compared to the giant that had rushed out of the sea of blood. The desolate giant that had appeared in the sky market was like a baby in swaddling clothes in front of this giant. It was hard to imagine how terrifying this giant had been when it was alive. This was definitely an existence that would cause a headache even for an almighty. This giant's body was flowing with scarlet blood. It was as huge as a mountain. Its blood-colored eyes had no pupils. There was only an evil and terrifying bloody light. A terrifying demonic aura spread out from this giant's body. This was definitely a great completion desolate giant. This giant was still holding on to half a stone spear that was dripping with blood. There was no trace of life on its body. It was an ice-cold corpse. An ancient corpse? Gu Fei retreated 100 miles in an instant. His pupils constricted. This was an ancient corpse that had been controlled by a demonic aura. It wasn't the giant that had come to life. Roar! After the giant rushed out of the sea of blood, it roared to the sky. Then, it pierced forward with the stone spear in its hand. A bloody demonic light rushed out from the stone spear. In an instant, it traversed 100 miles and arrived in front of Gu Fei. Buzz! Gu Fei's longsword circled and blocked the attack. Purple gold sword she surged. Bam! The bloody demonic light collided with the purple gold divine sword. The bloody light was shattered by the divine sword, but Gu Fei was also sent flying 10 miles away by a force. Only then was he able to stop his retreat. So powerful! Gu Fei only felt the numbness in his right hand that was holding the sword. He couldn't help but be surprised. The giant's attack was actually powerful to this extent. It should be known that Gu Fei's physique was different from ordinary cultivators. He was a martial artist that had cultivated the king martial body. His physical body was so powerful that even the celestial being realm immortal emperor and Shin King couldn't compare. But now, the giant that was controlled by the demonic power had actually shaken his palm to the point of numbness. Gu Fei found it hard to believe. Bam! After the giant's attack, he immediately took a step forward, traversing 100 miles. The entire void trembled under his feet, almost shattering the heaven and earth. The bloody light that shot out from his blood-colored eyes was several miles long. It was like a peerless demon that made Gu Fei's heart palpitate. Boom! The giant directly raised the stone spear in his hand and smashed it towards Gu Fei's head. The stone spear that was dripping with blood was like a huge ancient mountain falling down. The void below the stone spear collapsed and turned into nothingness and chaos. Just a direct attack was able to pierce through the heaven and earth. The strength of this giant was probably stronger and more terrifying than a sect master. Swish! Gu Fei used the 8 desolation steps and instantly disappeared on the spot. The next moment, he appeared behind the giant and directly swept his sword at the giant's waist. Chapter 974. Boom! The mountain-like giant suddenly turned around and swept the broken stone spear in his hand towards the dazzling sword light formed by the violet gold divine sword. Humph! Gu Fei sneered. Although the giant was full of brute force, it actually dared to use a stone spear to meet an extreme holy weapon head-on. It was truly laughable. Just as Gu Fei had expected, the sword light from the violet gold divine sword was like a hot knife through butter. It directly shattered the stone spear before circling around the giant's waist. The giant let out an earth-shattering roar. Then, the upper half of its body fell from the sky like a huge mountain. Swoosh! The violet gold divine sword in Gu Fei's hand flew up and transformed into a purple divine rainbow. It instantly pierced through the giant's head, and a streak of bloody light was minced into the void by the violet gold divine sword. That was a powerful divine sense. It was this blood-colored divine sense filled with demonic nature that was controlling the corpse of the desolate giant. All of this was caused by the existence in the blood-colored demonic palace in the Blood Sea. Roar! At the moment when the violet gold divine sword minced the crimson consciousness, a terrifying demonic hull came from the blood-colored demonic palace that floated in the Blood Sea. A terrifying aura surged out from the demonic palace. The entire world trembled under the demonic howl. All the primordial creatures in a radius of 10,000 kilometers trembled. A demonic power surged towards Gu Fei, causing Gu Fei's mind to tremble. The blood in his body actually showed signs of losing control, affected by the demonic power. Gu Fei was extremely shocked. With a thought, the Three Realms Buddhist lamp that floated above his head immediately emitted a peaceful aura, repelling the surging demonic power. The tricolored Buddhist light illuminated the world. It was as if a Buddha was sitting cross-legged in the Buddhist light. The peaceful aura filled the world. This was a Buddhist aura that was the complete opposite of the demonic power. With the Buddhist light protecting his body, Gu Fei's mind immediately calmed down and was no longer affected by external things. The mountain-like giant was sliced in half at the waist by Gu Fei, and the 2 halves of its corpse fell to the ground. The entire ground shook, and dust rose high into the sky. There was no blood flowing out from the giant's wound. This was just an ice-cold corpse that had been dead for an unknown period of time. It floated in the Blood Sea and was controlled by the divine will of the Devil Hall. After being cut in half by Gu Fei, the giant's corpse seemed to have lost some kind of power. Its flesh and blood began to wither rapidly, and then turned into a puddle of stinking pus and blood. Even its bones were smoking. In just a few breaths, the mountain-like giant was only left with a skeleton. Gu Fei stared dumbfoundedly at this scene. The corpse of this giant, which had been dead for countless years, was probably caused by some kind of power in the Blood Sea. Once it left the Blood Sea, the giant's corpse could not be preserved for long. At this moment, the terrifying aura emitted from the Devil Hall in the middle of the Blood Sea grew even stronger. It was as though there was a peerless fiendish devil residing within. Swish! 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 More than 10 beams of blood-colored devil light shot out from the Devil Hall, entering the surrounding Blood Sea. After that, more than 10 figures walked out from the Blood Sea. Gu Fei was shocked to the extreme. There were no signs of life among the 10 or so demonic creatures that walked out from the Blood Sea. Among them, there were human cultivators, devil cultivators shrouded in devil chi, as well as malevolent-looking savage beasts. The clothes of the human cultivators were extremely ancient. From this, one could tell that these were all cultivators from the primordial era. Very soon, Gu Fei discovered that these demonic creatures all had one thing in common. They had no pupils in their eyes, only a blood-red color. It was as if there was a blood-red world in their eyes. It was extremely strange. More than 10 terrifying figures rushed towards Gu Fei. The terrifying aura they exuded caused the heavens and earth to lose their color. Each of these existences that were controlled by divine sense was extremely terrifying. There was an ancient primordial creature the size of a small mountain. It had the form of a qilin and was extremely malevolent. On its scarlet scales, there seemed to be a layer of divine fire pulsating. Gu Fei was incomparably shocked. This was a terrifying primordial creature that had yet to lose its divinity. Its flesh and blood hadn't decayed, and its body still contained immense power. It had been dead for countless years, floating in the Blood Sea, but its aura still hadn't dissipated. Even the devilish nature of the Blood Sea couldn't erase it completely. It was truly hard to imagine. This was definitely a terrifying primordial beast that was comparable to a true dragon from the 9 heavens. It might even be a divine beast king. However, this terrifying divine beast had actually turned into a corpse. This primordial creature did not have any wounds on its body. It should have had its soul scattered, but its physical body was perfectly preserved. Other than this primordial divine beast, there was another figure that made Gu Fei feel incomparably dangerous. It was a middle-aged man shrouded in devilish chi. This was a great devil. His pitch-black devilish chi was vast and mighty. His blood-red eyes flickered in the devilish chi. This was also a powerful existence that still maintained its own aura and strength. The body was immortal, and the strength was condensed in the body without dissipating. This was an indestructible body. Only the supreme existences of the current era could cultivate to this level. This devil corpse was probably even more terrifying than the supreme existences of the current era. Even such a character had fallen here. Although his body was immortal, it had become a puppet that was controlled by others to fight. It was truly pitiful. At this time, there was no time for Gu Fei to think. Facing these terrifying demonic figures, Gu Fei could only retreat. He executed the desolate steps and rushed into the distance. Swish! 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 The dozen or so demonic figures also soared into the sky and chased after Gu Fei. Although there were only a dozen of them, it gave people the feeling that there were thousands of troops and horses rushing to kill him. Monstrous devilish chi enveloped the entire world. Terrifying fluctuations spread in all directions, startling all the primordial beasts in the nearby area and causing them to flee for their lives. In the depths of this world, a shocking scene appeared. Gu Fei was fleeing in the front, while a dozen or so demonic figures were chasing after him. Devilish chi swept across the world. The dozen or so demonic figures were like a dozen great devils that had been born. They emitted a great amount of devilish energy. Everywhere they passed, the world shook, the sun and the moon dimmed, and the sand and stones were sent flying. Damn it! Gu Fei walked in the void, traveling 100 miles with each step. He continued to execute the desolate steps. The Buddhist lamp of the three realms floated above his head, emitting a vast and auspicious Buddhist energy, repelling the terrifying devilish energy behind him. The speed of the desolate steps was unparalleled in the world. The distance between Gu Fei and the dozen or so demonic figures behind him gradually widened. In the end, the dozen or so demonic figures were completely left behind. Roar! A terrifying devilish roar came from the depths of this world. It seemed that the terrifying existence in the Blood Sea wasn't willing to give up after failing to kill Gu Fei. It did not take long for Gu Fei to get rid of the dozen or so demonic creatures behind him and escape to a mountain range that had already collapsed. The earth here was cracked and the mountain range collapsed. From the cracks in the earth, strands of primordial qi leaked out. In the depths of this mountain range, Gu Fei discovered an ancient temple floating above a hole in the ground that was spewing primordial qi. It was unknown what kind of stone was used to build this ancient temple. The temple was pitch black, and there was a black divine light lingering around it. The essence of the stone hadn't been lost. Chapter 975. The ground sank, and a bottomless pit with a circumference of at least 10 miles appeared. Primal chaos energy gushed out from it, and a pitch-black temple floated in the air above the pit, floating within the primal chaos energy. This was an incomparably shocking scene. There was actually an ancient temple that wasn't destroyed by the primal chaos qi. It was truly unbelievable. Gu Fei didn't approach and only watched from afar. The primal chaos qi came from the front, making him feel like he was facing a chaotic world. The ancient temple had a faint 10,000 Buddhist seal on it. It didn't emit any aura and seemed like an ordinary object, simple and unadorned. Such an ancient temple caused Gu Fei to feel an incomparable pressure. Although there was no divine energy coming out, it was like an ancient divine mountain was there. The inside of the temple was pitch black. Even with Gu Fei's eyesight, he couldn't see inside. He could only see a bottomless darkness that seemed to be able to devour a person's soul. Gu Fei's divine will was almost immersed in it. There was an unfathomable power that was affecting Gu Fei's divine soul. Hiss! Gu Fei took in a breath of cold air. This ancient temple wasn't simple. It seemed to be able to devour a person's soul. This was a temple filled with demonic nature, causing Gu Fei's heart to palpitate. This is a Buddhist temple. How can it have such a demonic nature? Gu Fei was very shocked. One had to know that the power of Buddhism was peaceful and peaceful. It was the complete opposite of the power of demonic nature. This temple contained demonic nature. Could it be the legendary Buddhist devil that had turned from Buddha into a devil? In history, there had been people who turned from Buddha into a devil. One of the most famous people was the last disciple of the legendary eternal Buddha Lord. He was a great virtuous Buddhist who had a high chance of cultivating the great Buddha body. However, when he was trying to break through to the great Buddha realm, he was disturbed by an external devil. In the end, he failed to cultivate the great Buddha body and instead cultivated the Buddhist devil body. This was the first Buddhist devil in the world. However, he became a taboo in the Buddhist sect and was hunted down by the people of the Buddhist sect. Gu Fei knew about this period of history. Because the number one Buddha devil in the world escaped from the Buddha land, he passed down the teachings of the Buddha sect. Therefore, for millions of years, there were Buddha devils appearing in the world. Although the Buddhist demon lineage had been hunted down by the great powers of the Buddhist sects for countless years, the Buddhist sects could not completely destroy this orthodoxy. Every period, a Buddhist demon would appear in the world, slaughtering all living beings in the world to refine the Buddhist demon true body. However, it was said that the last Buddha demon had been killed in the 100,000 mountains 5,000 years ago by a mighty figure sent by the Buddhist sections. The Buddha demon lineage seemed to have been exterminated. Seeing the ancient temple in the midst of the chaotic aura, Gu Fei thought of many things. Swoosh! Gu Fei suddenly brandished the purple gold divine sword and slashed forward. The resplendent sword beam cut through the void, splitting heaven and earth and splitting the chaos. It directly slashed towards the ancient temple within the chaos qi. Pooh! The sword beam from the purple-gold divine sword slashed at the ancient temple, producing a soft sound. It was actually unable to split the temple in half, only leaving a sword mark on its surface. This, Gu Fei could not help but be shocked. Even the purple-gold divine sword could not break this ancient temple. Could it be that this ancient temple was also an extreme holy artifact? It was truly unbelievable. Bam! Just as Gu Fei was feeling inexplicably shocked, the tightly shut stone door of the ancient temple suddenly opened, and a pitch-black wind swept out from inside. Following that, the black qi churned and condensed, and a figure appeared within the pitch-black demonic aura. It was a monk sitting cross-legged on a black lotus platform. When Gu Fei saw this scene, he could not help but shudder. He never imagined that there would be a monk hiding in the ancient temple within the chaotic aura. This was not a real person, but a demonic soul. It could also be said to be an undying evil will. This was a terrifying existence formed from the evil will of a supreme figure perishing. This kind of existence was extremely terrifying. It was not human, nor was it a demon, nor was it an immortal. It was a kind of evil that had jumped out of the three realms and was not part of the five elements. It only knew how to kill and destroy. Swoosh! The demonic figure sitting cross-legged on the black lotus platform suddenly opened its eyes. Two pitch-black demonic lights shot out from its eyes, piercing towards Gu Fei. Wherever the demonic lights passed, the void was annihilated. Everything was destroyed. Humph! Gu Fei sneered. It was just an evil will. He directly punched forward, and the fist force surged forward like a surging river. The two penetrating demonic lights immediately collapsed under Gu Fei's fist. Gu Fei was incomparably powerful. His fist force did not stop. He took a step forward and instantly closed in on the demonic figure, wanting to shatter this terrifying demonic figure with one punch. This kind of undying evil will could only be formed after a supreme figure perished. It was strange and terrifying. The monstrous fist force had not yet reached its peak when it shattered the two demonic lights. When Gu Fei was in front of the demonic figure, Gu Fei's fist force reached its peak. Boom! The entire void in front of the fist instantly collapsed. Gu Fei's fist penetrated the void between heaven and earth, forming a terrifying destructive force that wanted to obliterate the demonic figure. The evil will that was known as undying was not indestructible. As long as one's strength was strong enough, everything in the world could be smashed with one punch and trampled with one foot. Even the undying divine will could be completely obliterated. Gu Fei shattered the void, but he borrowed the terrifying force formed by the collapse of heaven and earth to destroy the enemy. The terrifying destructive power formed by the destruction of the void could even tear apart an immortal god and annihilate both their body and soul. Swoosh! The demonic figure sitting cross-legged on the black lotus platform suddenly disappeared in the void when Gu Fei's fist blasted. At the same time, the void seemed to suddenly open a big mouth, swallowing the whole world. What? Gu Fei was shocked. He only felt that the world was spinning, and he was actually pulled into a pitch-black void without any light. This was a demonic realm, filled with a heart-palpitating demonic nature. If it was not for the three realms Buddha crown above Gu Fei's head, his mind would have been eroded by this demonic nature, and he would have lost his nature. The three realms Buddha lamp vibrated, and thousands of Buddha's light bloomed, illuminating the evil void, piercing through the mysterious force, and restoring heaven and earth. Roar! From the depths of the endless darkness came a roar, and a figure instantly disappeared under the three-colored Buddha's light. That undying evil will was destroyed. Gu Fei was not sure. He held the purple-gold divine sword in his hand, and the three realms Buddha lamp above his head. His eyes swept in all directions. He did not dare to relax, but he did not find anything. However, at this moment, the void behind Gu Fei suddenly split open, and a faint and illusory demonic figure appeared silently behind Gu Fei. There was no energy fluctuation, and no aura was emitted. The faint and illusory demonic figure seemed to have jumped out of the world, and was not part of the five elements. Chapter 976. The terrifying evil thought that rushed out from the ancient temple silently appeared behind Gu Fei. An illusory figure sat cross-legged on the black lotus platform. It was a demon Buddha. The evil thought opened its mouth and swallowed the heaven and earth, swallowing the void and Gu Fei at once. However, the illusory body of the demon Buddha immediately swelled up and a terrifying power exploded inside the body of the demon Buddha. Bang! Soon, the body of the demon Buddha exploded. An ancient aura that seemed to come from ancient times spread out, and a land appeared in the monstrous devil chi. Buzz! The earth shook and a terrifying energy wave spread out from the big cauldron. The devil chi that filled the sky immediately dissipated in the void like snow under the sun. Swoosh! The three-colored Buddhist light shone out from the monstrous devil chi. The supreme Buddhist power obliterated the strange wave in the void, and the figure of the evil thought condensed in the void. It still can't be destroyed. The three realms Buddhist lamp above Gu Fei's head descended from the sky and said coldly, "Could this evil thought really be indestructible? How could such a thing exist in this world?" In the sky above the cavern, the ancient temple that was floating in the chaotic chi suddenly emitted a soul wave, as if a peerless demon that was sleeping had awakened. Gu Fei kept the mountain and river cauldron and looked at the ancient temple in the chaotic chi. What's going on? He was very curious. There seemed to be something in the ancient temple. Was this the cultivation place of the Buddha demon? Even the supreme sacred sword could not break it. It was probably a demonic weapon refined by the Buddha demon that was comparable to the supreme sage. Only the legendary last disciple of the Millennium Buddha Lord had such strength. He could not cultivate the great Buddha body but cultivated the Buddha demon body. He entered the devil Tao from the Buddha Tao. The last disciple of the Millennium Buddha Lord was probably infinitely close to the supreme sage realm. Swoosh! The evil intent, which was on the verge of dissipating, was originally pouncing towards the ancient temple within the primal chaos chi. However, when it sensed the spiritual ripples from the ancient temple, it was like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. It soared into the sky in an attempt to escape. At this moment, the ancient temple floating in the primal chaos chi suddenly shot out a pitch-black, 10,000, Buddhist seal towards the evil thought. Boom! The Buddha seal rotated, and a terrifying heaven-devouring power appeared in the middle of the Buddha seal. A pitch-black vortex appeared there, swallowing the void in front of it. Without any suspense, the extremely weak evil thought was swallowed by the terrifying whirlpool formed by the swastika. Then, a tall figure walked out of the whirlpool. This is... Seeing this figure, Gu Fei's pupils suddenly shrank. It was a pitch-black skeleton, not a person of flesh and blood, but an undead creature. In the skull of this undead creature, there was an extremely weak black light flickering. That was the spiritual fire that was about to be completely extinguished. The tall skeleton looked as if it was cast from immortal black divine iron. Traces of black light circulated around it, and there was a black lotus mark between the eyebrows of the skull. Gu Fei sensed great danger from this skeleton. "Thank you for helping me cut off this last evil thought." The black skeleton's entire body surged with demonic energy. It stood high in the sky, and behind it was the black, 10,000, Buddhist seal. This was a Buddhist who had been possessed by the devil. There was already a lotus mark on the skull. This undead creature was definitely a great figure when it was alive. If it wasn't a half-saint, it was most likely a supreme almighty. According to Gu Fei's knowledge, only the skulls of almighty Buddhists would have lotus marks condensed on them. Gu Fei didn't say anything. The three realms Buddhist lamp hovered above his head, and he held the violet gold divine sword in his hand. He was on high alert. This undead creature in front of him was too evil and terrifying. "You are a descendant of Buddha?" A soul fluctuation came out of the undead creature's skull, and a voice sounded in Gu Fei's mind. This was a communication on the soul, and it had already transcended the scope of words. "Humph!" Gu Fei sneered, but he still didn't say anything. "This sword..." Two black lights rushed out of the undead creature's pitch-black eye sockets, and the spiritual fire in the skull fiercely pulsed, as if it was somewhat excited. Seeing this undead creature like this, Gu Fei couldn't help but think, Could it be that this undead creature recognized the origin of the divine sword in my hand? Little guy, if you help someone, help them to the end. How about you do me another favor? The undead creature's voice sounded in Gu Fei's mind. Gu Fei's expression changed several times. He stared at the undead creature and said, "What do you want?" I'd like to borrow your martial Dao source for a while." The undead creature's whole body was surrounded by demonic energy, and the black, 10,000, Buddhist seal behind it began to emit a terrifying energy fluctuation. What? When Gu Fei heard this, he was immediately shocked. His complexion changed greatly. This undead creature actually wanted to take his life. The martial Dao source was the source of a cultivator's strength, and also the cultivator's life. "Go to hell!" Gu Fei roared, and directly slashed his sword towards the undead creature in front of him. The resplendent swordlight soared for thousands of miles, and it was as if this sword could split the entire world in half. The dreadful sword-chi fluctuations shattered the void, cutting everything in its path, and nothing could stop it. "I have already died once. I don't want to die again." The lotus mark on the undead creature's skull lit up, and a strange black light circulated. A formidable soul force erupted, and its whole body became fuzzy, and it directly disappeared. After avoiding Gu Fei's frightening sword strike, the undead creature appeared above Gu Fei's head in the next moment. It stretched out its hand to pluck the ancient bronze lamp floating above Gu Fei's head. This undead creature was shrouded in a black light, and it unexpectedly wasn't afraid of the Buddhist light of the Three Realms Buddhist lamp. Boom! With a thought from Gu Fei, the Three Realms Buddhist lamp immediately emitted a monstrous fluctuation of Buddhist power. Gu Fei drove the Buddhist lamp with all his strength, and the soybean-sized lantern on top of the Buddhist lamp fiercely gushed out a monstrous three-colored divine flame. Roar! The undead creature roared, and its right hand that was grabbing the Three Realms Buddhist lamp immediately retracted. Its entire arm was emitting black smoke, and it was almost burned to ashes by the sudden eruption of the three-colored divine flame. "You actually refined this Buddhist lamp!" The undead creature's voice carried a trace of panic. The black light on its body quickly dissipated under the influence of the three-colored divine flame, and it unexpectedly showed signs of collapsing. Chapter 977. Chaotic Chi gushed out from the ground. The ancient temple floated in the air above the cave, emitting a demonic aura that could disturb people's minds. Ancient Buddhist patterns and demonic patterns intertwined, forming an unfathomable power that prevented the ancient temple from decaying. The undead creature that had turned into a devil with Buddhist bones plunged into the primal chaos aura and used the primal chaos aura to erase the tricolored Buddhist flames that enveloped its body. Gu Fei, with the Buddhist lamp above his head and the divine sword in his hand, chased after it. The chaotic chi could indeed erase the Buddhist fire. The Buddhist fire outside the undead bone demon's body gradually extinguished. It moved quickly in the chaotic chi, trying to enter the ancient temple. Humph! Gu Fei sneered. He directly rushed into the chaotic chi. The tricolored Buddhist light illuminated the chaotic chi, breaking it apart. The surging chaotic chi couldn't get close to him at all. Buzz! Gu Fei shook the divine sword in his hand. A purple sword light immediately rushed out from the violet gold divine sword, piercing through the void and killing the undead bone demon in front of it. Even the undead bone demon's heart palpitated against the might of an extreme sacred weapon. It couldn't resist it, and wanted to rush back to the ancient temple. However, Gu Fei wouldn't let it escape so easily. The sword light emitted from the violet gold divine sword was like a destructive divine light, strangling everything in its path. Swish! One of the undead bone demon's arm was immediately cut off by the purple sword light. Its bone body, which was like black divine iron, was instantly shattered and turned into dust. This was the might of an extreme sacred weapon. Although it couldn't display its divine might, it was still invincible and invincible. With a sword in hand, Gu Fei dared to point it at a supreme being. Once the extreme path holy weapon was drawn, even a supreme being's expression would change, not to mention a Buddhist supreme being that had turned into a Buddhist skeletal devil. Roar! After losing an arm, the Buddhist bone demon roared at the sky, almost going crazy. One should know that its bone body was the bone of a Buddhist demon. It had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times and was comparable to an emperor divine weapon. Moreover, once this kind of bone was completely destroyed, it could not be regenerated. Even if an emperor divine weapon was completely destroyed, it could not be restored. Damn it! I'm going to extract your soul and suppress it for millions of years. I'll make you suffer the pain of refining your soul every single day. I'll make you beg for death. The Buddha bone demon roared with hatred. His right arm had been completely destroyed by the purple gold divine sword light. How could he not be enraged? Humph! I'm going to kill you again! Gu Fei directly pressed forward. Under the Buddhist light emitted by the three realms Buddhist lamp, the chaotic energy was repelled, unable to approach him. Under the Buddhist light, Gu Fei was like a Buddha descending from the heavens. Amidst the auspiciousness, there was a soaring murderous aura. He seemed to have transformed into a victorious fighting Buddha. Buzz! The divine sword vibrated, and the purple golden sword light illuminated the entire primal chaos. It was like a divine light that created the heavens, and the primal chaos void within a radius of 10 miles was cleaved into two halves. The purple gold sword light was like an impassable chasm, blocking the path between the Buddha skeletal demon and the ancient temple. It cut off the Buddha skeletal demon's retreat and forced it to retreat. Swoosh! A pitch-black swastika emerged on the Buddha skeletal demon's body. He fused with the swastika, then shot up into the sky and rushed out of the primal chaos void. Since he couldn't enter the ancient temple, he immediately escaped. This Buddha skeletal demon was decisive in killing, but he was also an impressive fellow. He didn't hesitate at all when he did things. You want to escape? The corner of Gu Fei's mouth curled into a cold smile. Then, a divine light rushed out from his dantian, and a domineering aura immediately filled the air. Swoosh! As if it came from hell, a domineering blade light suddenly appeared in front of the Buddha skeletal demon and slashed at his waist. This is... The Buddha skeletal demon, who had fused with the swastika, was instantly scared out of his wits. The fire of the soul in his skull was violently beating. He wanted to dodge, but the blade light was too fast. The blade light instantly swept across his waist, directly cleaving the swastika in half. Even the lower half of the Buddha skeletal demon's body was turned into black bone dust. Ah! The Buddha skeletal demon was so angry that he almost went berserk. His bone body, which was comparable to an emperor divine weapon, was heavily injured again and again. He couldn't wait to tear Gu Fei into pieces. There is still one more saint weapon of the Great Path. You actually have 3! The Buddha skeletal demon's voice trembled. Those were 3 saint weapons of the Great Path. Even in the desolate era, saint weapons of the Great Path rarely appeared. Even in the desolate era, there weren't many people who could see a saint weapon of the Great Path with their own eyes. But now, 3 saint weapons of the Great Path appeared at the same time, and they were all in the hands of the same person. The Buddha skeletal demon couldn't believe it. It wasn't that his skills were inferior, but he was defeated by a saint weapon. In terms of cultivation, even 3 Gu Feis wouldn't be a match for this Buddha skeletal demon. Although the Buddha skeletal demon's lower body was severed, he still soared into the sky, wanting to escape. He didn't want to die like this. Being killed like this was too vexing. Bang! At that moment, an object suddenly descended from the sky. It gave off a terrifying aura that caused all living beings in the world to tremble. The Buddha skeletal demon felt as if the entire world was pressing down. He was almost shaken down from the sky by the power that suppressed the world. What? The entire world was sealed by the divine might emitted by the object in the sky. The entire void seemed to be frozen, and the Buddha skeletal demon was fixed high up in the sky. How could this be? How could this be? He was in despair. 4 saint weapons of the Great Path. This guy actually had 4 saint weapons of the Great Path. This was simply heaven's will to kill him. 4 saint weapons of the Great Path appearing at the same time was a rare sight, but it happened today. This was something that had never happened since the desolate era. No one would believe it even if it was said out. Rumble! An ancient cauldron came crashing down from the sky. It was even more terrifying than 100,000 ancient divine mountains crashing down together. The terrifying divine might sealed the surroundings and froze the mountains and rivers in place. It almost suppressed the chaotic aura that gushed out from the underground cavern back into the ground. The world shook and the earth sank down several meters from the pressure. This was the mountain and river cauldron. It could suppress the heavens. Although it couldn't display its divine might in Gu Fei's hands, the power it displayed was still very terrifying. In this place, there were no other cultivators. Gu Fei could use the saint weapons of the Great Path at will. If it was outside, he would have too many concerns and wouldn't dare to use the saint weapons on him. One had to know that the Three Realms Buddhist lamp and the Sanskrit Buddhist bell were both saint weapons refined by the Buddhist Lord throughout the ages. If the people from the Buddhist sect were to find out that Gu Fei possessed a sacred artifact of the Buddhist sect, the entire Buddhist sect would likely be shaken. Every member of the Buddhist sect would likely take action against Gu Fei. No matter how strong Gu Fei was, even if he had many saint weapons of the Great Path, it was absolutely impossible for him to deal with a superpower that had existed for countless years. Crack! The mountain and river cauldron came crashing down. The Buddha skeletal demon that was fixed high in the sky gradually cracked. The soul fire in its skull was about to extinguish completely. It was about to be crushed to death. Chapter 978. Rumble! The mountain and river cauldron descended from the sky, suppressing all directions. The Buddhist skeletal demon, who only had its upper body left, was surging with demonic energy as it struggled for its life. However, as the mountain and river cauldron descended, the demonic energy on the Buddhist skeletal demon's body was dispersed, revealing its skeletal body shrouded in demonic energy. Roar! The Buddhist skeletal demon roared. The soul fire in its skull was violently pulsing, and its bones were cracking from the suppression. It could die again at any time. I said I will kill you again! Gu Fei soared into the sky, flew above the mountain and river cauldron, and then sat cross-legged on it. With the Three Realms Buddhist lamp above his head and the violet gold divine sword in his hand, he drove the mountain and river cauldron with all his strength. His entire body surged with monstrous blood energy, and above his head, there were crimson dragons soaring. Vast spiritual energy poured into the mountain and river cauldron, and the primordial chaos chi began to appear on the mountain and river cauldron. The Tao patterns on the cauldron seemed to come alive, and the charm of the great Tao flowed out. A domineering saber light circled around Gu Fei. The four sacred weapons formed a terrifying forbidden zone, protecting Gu Fei within. Roar! I am not willing! The Buddhist skeletal demon roared. He had underestimated Gu Fei, which was definitely a fatal mistake. The four sacred weapons appeared in the hands of one person at the same time. This was unprecedented. No one would believe it even if he said it. This way of dying was too vexing. It wasn't that he was inferior, but that he had died under the sacred weapons. The Buddhist skeletal demon regretted it to death, but there was no medicine for regret in this world. However, just as Gu Fei was about to kill the Buddhist skeletal demon, just as his soul was destroyed, the ancient temple that was floating in the chaotic chi once again erupted with a terrifying aura. This, Gu Fei couldn't help but frown. Boom! The ancient temple suddenly shook, and a monstrous demonic energy gushed out from the open door. The Buddhist patterns on the ancient temple flickered with brilliance, and the power of the great Tao lingered. Another powerful aura exploded in the ancient temple, as if a peerless demon had been awakened. Following that, a total of 6 terrifying auras that were powerful enough to make one's heart palpitate erupted from the ancient temple. It was as if 6 terrifying demons had awakened. Gu Fei was in a daze. He thought of an ancient legend. Ancient Chaos 7 Buddhist demons, to think that this is actually real. Legend has it that in the ancient times, there were 7 almighty Buddhas who were comparable to Buddhas. They turned from Buddhas into devils, causing chaos in the world. Even the legendary eternal Buddhas were alarmed and wanted to kill these 7 Buddhas and devils. However, he did not expect that the chaotic 7 Buddha demons, who were said to have been slain by the Buddhist Lord throughout the ages, would appear here. It seemed that they wanted to use the chaotic veins beneath the ground to nourish the demon bones. Bam! A loud sound was heard. Before Gu Fei could think too much, the ancient temple that was floating in the chaotic air actually broke through the chaos and directly collided with Gu Fei. A part of the world instantly collapsed, turning into a chaotic void. The sacred weapon around Gu Fei trembled, circulating the aura of the great Tao to resist this extremely terrifying power. This ancient temple had actually been refined into a terrifying divine weapon that was comparable to an extreme Tao saint weapon. The 6 awakened Buddhas and devils in the ancient temple did not rush out. Instead, they directly drove the ancient temple to resist Gu Fei's sacred weapon of the extreme path with extreme ferocity. Swoosh! Gu Fei pointed with his finger, and the domineering saber light surrounding him immediately shot forward. The peerless saber light soared thousands of meters into the sky, breaking through the chaotic void, and slashed at the ancient temple that was rushing over. Boom! The peerless blade light fiercely slashed on the ancient temple. The entire world seemed to be collapsing. The great collision of the 2 sacred weapons caused a terrible destruction. Within a radius of 1,000 miles, the ground was collapsing, the void was collapsing, and even the underground cavern that spewed chaotic air collapsed. Endless chaotic air surged out from the ground. There was a chaotic vein under the ground that gathered chaotic air. Now, under the collision of the 2 sacred weapons of the extreme path, this chaotic vein of chaotic air collapsed. The impact of the collapse of the Earth's vein was absolutely unimaginable. The area within a radius of 1,000 miles collapsed, and the area within a 10,000 miles was shaken. The ground cracked, the mountains collapsed, and the rivers flowed in reverse. This kind of fluctuation could be felt within 100,000 miles. After the peerless blade light collided with the ancient temple, it flew back. Gu Fei's body shook violently, and he almost fell from the mountain and river cauldron. He wiped away the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and then decisively retreated. As Gu Fei was forced to retreat, the Buddhist skeletal demon that was almost crushed to death by the mountain and river cauldron immediately felt the irresistible power that was suppressing him disappear. He did not die, and quickly turned into a beam of demonic light, rushing into the ancient temple. Boom! 7 terrifying forces exploded in the ancient temple. The 7 auras merged together, and the patterns formed by the interweaving demonic and Buddhist patterns on the entire ancient temple began to radiate with dazzling demonic light. The entire ancient temple seemed to come to life. The soul of this sacred weapon was awakening, as if a supreme demonic ancestor was awakening. Damn it! Gu Fei felt the vast energy fluctuation above the ancient temple. He couldn't help but change his expression, and his mind was greatly shaken. The 7 Buddhist demons of the chaotic era could actually make this sacred weapon display the extreme demonic might. What was the point of fighting now? There was no hope. Gu Fei put away the mountain and river cauldron, the peerless blade, and the violet gold divine sword. The 3 realms Buddhist lamp hovered above his head, and he used the 8 desolation steps to turn around and leave. With his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to unleash the divine might of a saint weapon of the extreme Tao. It was impossible for him to fight against the chaotic ancient 7 Buddhas in the ancient temple. Taking advantage of the fact that the soul of the devil weapon in the ancient temple had yet to fully awaken, he quickly retreated. If the ancient temple displayed the extreme demonic might, even if Gu Fei used all 5 sacred weapons, he would not be able to compete with the ancient temple. At that time, he would not be able to leave even if he wanted to. The ancient temple that displayed the extreme demonic might could launch the strongest attack of the true demon of the chaotic era. That was the supreme demonic ancestor that could compete with the saints of the chaotic era. Even the saints of the chaotic era would be shocked, let alone Gu Fei. Rumble! The aura that erupted above the ancient temple was still increasing rapidly. A vast power of the great Tao was spreading, and the entire heaven and earth shook. The entire world could feel this power fluctuation. Roar! In the center of this world, within the Blood Sea, a terrifying roar rang out. A blood-colored devil hall could be vaguely seen within the Blood Sea. That terrifying supreme existence within the Blood Sea seemed to be somewhat uneasy. Chapter 979. With a single step, Gu Fei rushed towards the stone door. He didn't dare to stay in this world any longer. The ancient Chaos 7 Buddha devils were unparalleled and hard to resist. Among the aristocratic families, there were at least two terrifying existences that could threaten Gu Fei's life. The ancient Chaos 7 Buddha devils were one of them. That ancient temple was a supreme demon weapon. If one could awaken the soul of this supreme demon weapon and display its extreme demonic might, even if an extreme Tao saint came, the ancient Chaos 7 Buddha devils wouldn't be afraid. The other one was the existence in the Blood Sea in the depths of this world. Although that existence didn't show itself, it was definitely not weaker than the ancient Chaos 7 Buddha devils. The awakening of the supreme demon weapon caused the entire world to tremble. Countless ancient creatures were trembling and terrifying demonic roars came from the depths of this world. All of this had nothing to do with Gu Fei. He used the internal world energy to isolate all of his aura and rushed out from the depths of this world, arriving at the entrance of this world. Gu Fei did not hesitate and directly rushed in. He walked through the ancient bone path, which was only a few miles long, and arrived in front of the half-opened stone door before walking out. This ancient stone door wasn't the legendary heavenly gate. The bone path wasn't a path to heaven. Behind the stone door was a chaotic world that was on the verge of collapse. Not to mention Gu Fei, this was something that no one would have thought of. Roar! The moment Gu Fei stepped out of the stone door, he felt as though his head was bombarded by something. A strange and evil force was actually attacking his Naiwen palace. Gu Fei roared and almost fell down. If it wasn't for the Buddhist light from the Three Realms Buddhist lamp protecting his body, his soul would have been destroyed by that force, and he would have become a soulless walking corpse. Even so, Gu Fei felt as though his soul was being beaten out of his body by that force. His soul shook and his head felt as though it was about to explode. Die for me! A resentful soul fluctuation came and a murderous voice resounded in Gu Fei's mind. Die, my ass! Gu Fei's eyes were wide open and bloodshot. There was a hint of madness and malevolence in his expression. At this moment, a vertical purple mark appeared between Gu Fei's eyebrows. Swoosh! A dazzling purple divine light rushed out from between Gu Fei's eyebrows and dispersed the force that was attacking his Naiwen palace. Ah! A miserable shriek was heard. Amidst the pitch-black Yin cold chi, a divine pearl surrounded by Yin divine flame fell from the sky. This divine pearl was the dragon pearl of the primordial winged dragon that Gu Fei had killed. The fist-sized dragon pearl surged with vast lunar energy, and the image of a dragon appeared indistinctly. It turned out that it was the primordial winged dragon that was causing trouble. The soul of the primordial winged dragon had entered the dragon pearl and suddenly launched a soul attack at Gu Fei, who was walking out from behind the stone door. The primordial winged dragon had its flesh destroyed by Gu Fei. Naturally, it wouldn't let it go so easily. This primordial winged dragon hid in front of the stone door and gave Gu Fei a fatal blow. The primordial winged dragon wanted to use its powerful soul power to break through Gu Fei's Naiwen palace and directly destroy Gu Fei's soul. This primordial winged dragon could be said to have taken every possibility into account. However, it still miscalculated. It never would have thought that Gu Fei actually had a saint weapon of the extreme path. Gu Fei used the Buddhist light of the Three Realms Buddhist lamp to protect his body, weakening the primordial winged dragon's soul attack. This allowed Gu Fei to escape the calamity of having his soul destroyed and never being able to reincarnate. Boom! Gu Fei's soul power erupted without holding back. A visible ripple could be seen spreading out from between his eyebrows. How is this possible? The primordial winged dragon's soul rippled. It was both shocked and furious. Its attack was actually dissolved by Gu Fei. This was simply too inconceivable. Could it be that this fellow's soul power was actually this strong? The lunar dragon pearl trembled, wanting to soar into the sky and fly away. You still want to escape? Gu Fei sneered. This primordial winged dragon really didn't know what was good for it. Gu Fei had destroyed its flesh, but it still dared to attack him. This time, I'll destroy its soul. Clang! The clanging sounds did not stop. Gu Fei's extremely strong soul power turned into many divine sabers. Then, he slashed towards the lunar dragon pearl in an overwhelming manner. This was the transformation of the soul power. With the extremely strong soul power, it condensed into a divine saber. This was the blade of divine will. Gu Fei wanted to use this blade of divine will to destroy the primordial winged dragon's spiritual soul inside the lunar dragon pearl. Roar! The blade of divine will broke through the layers of the power of Yin and instantly struck the lunar dragon pearl. The primordial winged dragon's soul rippled as it roared in fear. This kind of divine saber formed by the soul power was extremely fast. Moreover, it completely ignored the power of Yin that emanated from the lunar dragon pearl and directly slashed into the dragon pearl. The dragon shadow inside the dragon pearl immediately dimmed. Swoosh! A vertical eye seemed to have opened between Gu Fei's eyebrows, emitting even more dazzling divine light. Rays of divine light formed by the soul power fell from the sky and interweaved into an inescapable net, trapping the dragon pearl. Without hesitation, Gu Fei directly used his soul power to destroy the dragon's soul inside the lunar dragon pearl. The strength of Gu Fei's soul power was comparable to the immortal emperor, Ancient King. Although the soul of the primordial winged dragon was very strong, it was not as strong as Gu Fei's soul power. The attack just now was an excellent opportunity to kill Gu Fei. If Gu Fei did not have the Three Realms Buddhist lamp to protect himself, he would have been killed. This kind of soul attack was incomparably vicious. It could directly destroy a person's spiritual soul. However, if the opponent's soul power was stronger than his own, he would be easily devoured by the opponent. After Gu Fei destroyed the spiritual soul of the primordial winged dragon inside the lunar dragon pearl, he took out the mountain and river cauldron and stored the lunar dragon pearl inside. Subsequently, Gu Fei used all his strength to close the half-opened stone door again. Then, he walked towards the depths of the abyss. When he destroyed the ancient pterosaur's soul, he had already read the ancient pterosaur's memories. He knew that the immortal divine grass grew in the depths of the abyss, in a place no one could approach. The primordial winged dragon had been drooling over the immortal grass for a long time. However, it was unable to take the immortal grass away. Therefore, it settled down in the abyss. Soon, Gu Fei arrived at the place. It was a cave that was spewing out the lunar qi of the earth. Beside the cave, there was a stalk of immortal grass growing on a pitch-black rock. Chapter 980. The Immortal Godly Grass! Gu Fei's eyes brightened when he saw the grass that looked like an ancestral dragon. This immortal godly grass grew in the depths of the Taiyin earth veins. The Taiyin qi here was vast and mighty. The cave was connected to the Taiyin earth veins and was the source of the Taiyin qi, the coldest place. Even though Gu Fei was protected by the Buddhist lamp of the Three Realms, he still felt that the space around him was frozen. He could feel a strong pressure coming from all directions. The Buddhist lamp of the Three Realms floated above Gu Fei's head. The tricolored Buddhist light lit up the darkest place in the world. The immortal godly grass was shaped like an ancestral dragon. It was about to soar into the sky and transform into an ancestral dragon. Bang! The cauldron of mountain and river rushed out from Gu Fei's dantian. It broke through the layers of Taiyin qi and instantly grew to the size of a mountain. It flew above the Taiyin earth veins. Rumble! The entire frozen void began to tremble. Above the mountain and river cauldron, the primordial chaos qi was vast and mighty. A great power erupted from the mountain and river cauldron, sealing the entire world. Whoosh! The moment Gu Fei threw out the cauldron of mountain and river, the immortal godly grass moved. Its roots were pulled out from the ground and transformed into the shadow of a dragon. It wanted to rush into the cave next to it. Gu Fei's heart skipped a beat. This immortal godly grass had already gained sentience. It turned into a small ancestral dragon and wanted to escape into the Taiyin earth veins. The cave was connected to the Taiyin earth veins. Once this godly grass escaped into the tiny earth veins, not even the strongest cultivators would be able to catch it. The immortal godly grass was known to be immortal. It could live forever in the world. Even if the chaos era was broken and the human world changed, it would still exist. Those who obtained it could live forever. Since the beginning of time, the immortal godly grass was the dream of all cultivators. However, it was very rare. It was even rarer than the ancient saints. Even in the untainted land of ancient times, only the saints of the extreme Tao possessed this legendary divine medicine of the extreme Tao. This was a legendary ancestral dragon divine grass, formed from the blood essence of an ancient ancestral dragon. It contained the undying ancestral dragon's qi, and was an extreme divine medicine of the dragon clan. If the dragon race obtained it, they could change their physique and have the potential to become the supreme dragon ancestor. Even if they could not become the dragon ancestor, they could become the Great Perfection Heavenly Dragon Emperor. The Great Perfection Heavenly Dragon Emperor was a terrifying existence that surpassed the almighty realm. As long as the sages did not appear, he would be invincible. Trying to escape? Gu Fei was prepared for this. He took out the mountain and river cauldron and stabilized a part of the void, suppressing the surroundings. The entire region was instantly sealed. It didn't matter if it was the extreme earth vein or the ancestral dragon divine grass, they were all suppressed. The extreme frigid qi gushing out of the cave was suppressed. The ancestral dragon divine grass was fixed in the air above the cave. It looked like a little ancestral dragon with a 9-colored dragon pearl in its mouth. It was struggling violently, trying to break through the power of the mountain and river cauldron and rush into the cave below. Rumble! The mountain-like mountain and river cauldron descended from the sky and completely suppressed everything. The ancestral dragon divine grass was gradually suppressed back to its original form, unable to maintain the form it had after transforming. It was just an immortal spiritual medicine, not the real little ancestral dragon. Although the immortal spiritual medicine was intelligent and could transform, it did not have great magical powers. Even though the immortal godly medicine possessed an undying life, it could not cultivate into a great demon. Being able to gain sentience and take on a human form was already its limit. Under the suppression of the mountain and river cauldron, the little ancestral dragon that was imprisoned in the air above the cave gradually turned into a dragon-shaped divine grass. The dragon-shaped divine grass had an ancestral dragon fruit in its mouth. The ancestral dragon fruit was something that even a celestial being realm real dragon would go crazy for. This will be of great use to Shaoqing. Gu Fei walked forward with the 3 realms Buddhist lamp on his head. Even under the protection of the light of Buddha and the mountain and river cauldron, he still felt the bone-chilling cold. Wisps of cold air drilled into his body as if they wanted to drill into his bones and soul. The tiny cold she contained in the tiny earth vein was not to be underestimated. Even the most powerful in the world would not dare to enter the depths of the tiny earth vein. If it were not for the protection of the supreme divine weapon, Gu Fei would never have been able to get close to the area where the ancestral dragon divine grass was. No wonder the primordial winged dragon that cultivated the power of Taiyin could not obtain the ancestral dragon divine grass even after waiting in the abyss for so long. Just as Gu Fei used the mountain and river cauldron to suppress the space and was walking towards the ancestral dragon divine grass, above the abyss, He Tian, Yan'er, Shaoqing, and Balan were extremely anxious. If it were not for the fact that Gu Fei had the protection of the supreme divine weapon, they would have asked the old tortoise for help. The old tortoise was Shaoqing's master, and Shaoqing was the old tortoise's only successor. The old tortoise certainly did not want to see his precious disciple killed. Shaoqing had the secret treasure left by the old tortoise. At critical moments, not only could it save his life, but it could also be sensed by the old tortoise. No matter where the old tortoise was, the old tortoise would be able to sense Shaoqing's presence and come to his rescue immediately. Seeing that Gu Fei had already been down for 3 days and had yet to return, little Qing was on the verge of using that artifact. However, just as Shaoqing could not help but use the secret treasure, an ancient aura that seemed to come from a primitive world suddenly came from the bottomless abyss. A terrifying wave of energy spread out, causing Yan'er, He Tian, Shaoqing, and Balan to almost collapse to the ground. This power shocked them greatly. Their spiritual souls were shaken and terrified. "This is the mountain and river cauldron. It's the mountain and river cauldron. Gu Fei is using the mountain and river cauldron." Yan Heitian, Shaoqing, and Balan were all surprised and overjoyed. Gu Fei was using the mountain and river cauldron, which meant that Gu Fei was fine. What did Gu Fei encounter down there? To think that he had to use the supreme divine weapon! While everyone was pleasantly surprised, they could not help but worry for Gu Fei. No one knew what dangers there were in the abyss, and whether Gu Fei would be in danger. "Don't worry too much. If he really is in a life-and-death situation, he will hide in his inner world," Balan said. Under the pressure of the mountain and river cauldron, his face was also pale. No one could remain calm under the pressure of the mountain and river cauldron. This not only suppressed the physical body, but also the soul. It could completely intimidate a person. Although Gu Fei was only a profound transformation third heaven immortal martial cultivator, he had an extreme Tao sacred weapon, which allowed him to challenge sect lord level bigwigs. With the extreme Tao sacred weapon, he could even kill sect lord level immortal emperors and deity emperors. However, with his current cultivation, it was difficult for him to fully unleash the power of the extreme saint weapon. He could not bring out the full power of the extreme saint weapon. Therefore, in the world behind the ancient stone door, when the ancient Chaos 7 Buddhas wanted to completely awaken the ancient temple, he had to retreat. A fully awakened supreme divine weapon was unstoppable, unless the ancient saints who had disappeared for countless years jumped out. Otherwise, all the almighties would have to flee. While everyone was worrying for Gu Fei had already put the ancestral dragon divine medicine into the inner world in his dantian. Chapter 981. With the divine medicine in hand, Gu Fei retreated from the extreme Yin earth vein. This was a terrifying place that could even freeze celestials to death, so he couldn't stay for long. Just as Gu Fei soared into the sky and flew out of this perilous place, a sigh suddenly came from below the cave that was spewing lunar chill qi. A stone coffin appeared within the lunar chill qi. Gu Fei put away the mountain and river cauldron. The Three Realms Buddhist lamp floated above his head, and strands of Buddhist energy fell from it, protecting Gu Fei. The peaceful Buddhist energy made Gu Fei feel like he was bathing in a hot spring. All the pores on his body relaxed, and it was very comfortable. His mind was clear, and his mind was calm. The power of Buddhism also had its unique characteristics. It could purify a person's soul and sublimate it. For cultivators with unstable minds, this was very beneficial. Especially when a cultivator was trying to break through, they were most afraid of being disturbed by heart devils. Buddhist cultivation methods could resist heart devils. Gu Fei had the mark of a martial path, and the most complete martial path inheritance. Of course, he wouldn't learn Buddhist cultivation methods. The Three Realms Buddhist lamp actually had a Buddhist cultivation method. The Universal Reincarnation Scripture was a supreme Buddhist cultivation method created by the ancient Buddhist Lord. If one cultivated this cultivation method, they could activate the Three Realms Buddhist lamp and save all the evil souls in the Three Realms and Six Paths, allowing countless souls to enter the cycle of reincarnation. If hell wasn't empty, one wouldn't become a Buddha. These were the words of an almighty Buddhist cultivator who cultivated the Universal Reincarnation Scripture. These words had become the scripture of the Buddhist sect's merciful salvation. There was also a Buddhist cultivation method imprinted on the Sanskrit Buddhist bell. The ancient Buddhist Lord used this method to pass down his cultivation method. Because the supreme Buddhist weapons were immortal, they could exist forever in this world. As long as one obtained one of the Buddhist weapons, they could use the cultivation method imprinted on it to create a great sect, allowing the Buddhist path to be passed down. Gu Fei did not intend to cultivate these two supreme Buddhist techniques. He already had the best inheritance, and the best cultivation technique. Achieving the Tao through martial arts was the martial saint, the legendary martial ancestor. He was stronger than the ancient Buddhist Lord, the supreme demonic ancestor, and the supreme demonic ancestor. He could be said to be the strongest in the world. Not only did Gu Fei want to become strong, but he also wanted to become the strongest. Swoosh! The tricolored Buddha's light flickered, and the auspicious Buddha's power was vast and mighty under the abyss of the earth. Gu Fei used the desolate steps and ascended to the sky step by step. Soon, he saw the light shining down from above. That is, above the abyss, Yenner, He Tian, Shaoqing, and Balan, who had been staring at the bottomless abyss down below, suddenly had their eyes lit up. "It's the aura of the Three Realms Buddha lamp!" Shaoqing exclaimed. He sensed a familiar aura. He was very familiar with the energy fluctuation of the Three Realms Buddhist lamp. It was a supreme Buddhist weapon on Gu Fei's body. "Gu Fei is coming up!" Yenna's eyes were filled with a strange splendor. She was surprised and happy at the same time. Did he pick the legendary immortal herb? Yenna was very excited, and her breathing became rapid. If Gu Fei really did pick the immortal herb, then she could start concocting pills. The heaven-defying divine pill she was going to concoct was made with the immortal herb as the main ingredient. It could be said to be a type of supreme Tao divine pill. It was the most difficult and heaven-defying divine pill to concoct in the Danding Gate. In the most ancient records of the Danding Gate, there were records of this kind of heaven-defying divine pill. Only the founding ancestor of the Danding Gate had concocted one. Ever since the founding of the Danding Gate, countless years had passed. This was the first time the Danding Gate had concocted such a heaven-defying divine pill. Moreover, there was only one. The founding ancestor of the Danding Gate had relied on the miraculous effects of this heaven-defying divine pill. His cultivation had increased tremendously, and he eventually became a supreme almighty in the primordial era. This was a terrifying existence second only to the extreme Taoist sage. The supreme almighty of the primordial era could move unhindered in the primordial era. As long as the sages didn't appear, they would be invincible. If she could concoct such a heaven-defying divine pill, wouldn't she become an invincible almighty in an instant? When Yenna thought of this, she almost couldn't breathe. Swish! The tricolored Buddhist light flickered like a tricolored divine rainbow. It broke through the boundless darkness and rapidly approached. In an instant, everyone could feel a powerful aura rushing towards them. Yenner, Shaoqing, He Tian, Balan, and the others hurriedly retreated far away. Gu Fei rushed up into the sky from the abyss. At this moment, the sun was high up in the sky. It was noon, the time when the yang-qi in the world was at its peak. He had stayed in the abyss for 3 days. Now that he had rushed out of the abyss, he felt a little uncomfortable. He only felt that the sunlight was blinding and painful. "Big brother! Big brother!" Gu Fei. After Gu Fei rushed out of the abyss, Shaoqing, He Tian, Yenner, Balan, and the others rushed over immediately. All of them were extremely excited. Even Baron, who had always been cold, had a smile on his face. "Gu Fei, did you get the immortal godly medicine?" Yenner rushed over and asked directly. The immortal godly medicine was related to whether or not she could become an almighty. Seeing that Gu Fei was fine, Yenner naturally cared about this matter the most. "You are too heartless. All you care about is the immortal godly medicine. You didn't even ask me if I was fine." Seeing that Yenner only cared about her immortal godly medicine, Gu Fei couldn't help but feel a little displeased. Yenner couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. The reason why Gu Fei risked his life to enter the abyss was to help Yenner pick the immortal godly medicine. Shaoqing, Balan, and He Tian looked at Gu Fei and Yenner strangely. Could it be that these two were going to quarrel? In Xiaoqing's view, there was definitely something going on between Gu Fei and Yenner. "Aren't you fine?" Yenner's face blushed like a little girl who had done something wrong. She lowered her head and played with the corner of her clothes with her hands. Seeing Yenner like this, Gu Fei couldn't help but want to play a joke on her, so he said, "There is no immortal godly medicine down there, but there are many bones." "What?" Hearing this, Yenner suddenly raised her head and looked at Gu Fei in shock. Her face was full of disbelief. How could there be no bones? Isn't that primordial pterosaur the divine beast that protects the immortal godly medicine? How could there be no immortal godly medicine down there? Could it be that the ancient records are wrong? Impossible. Yenna seemed to be dumbfounded as she muttered to herself. Why is it impossible? It seems like someone is playing a big joke, Gu Fei said while trying hard to hold back his laughter. The patriarch of the sect would not be so bored as to play such a joke. Yenna was at a loss for a moment. Her long-cherished dream had suddenly been shattered. The cultivation method of the Danning school was different from the others. It required all kinds of medicinal pellets to increase one's cultivation. Without the assistance of medicinal pellets, it would be difficult for Yenna's cultivation to advance. Yenna couldn't accept this result. Her expression was a little dazed. Seeing Yenna's dazed expression, Gu Fei couldn't help but feel his heart ache. He no longer lied to her and said, "I'm lying to you. With me personally taking action, how could there be anything in this world that can't be done? What did you say?" He had no idea what He Tian was talking about. Sigh. I'm not talking in riddles. Erebus shook his head and sighed. At this time, he was acting like a refined scholar. Old He, how dare you say that my comprehension is low? Shaoqing was speechless. He was the old tortoise's disciple, yet this He Tian said that his comprehension was low. Shaoqing really did not know what to say. If he was not a promising talent, how could the old tortoise, who had such a high standard of the demon race, take a fancy to him and accept him as a disciple to pass on his legacy? All right, both of you, stop messing around. Gu Fei frowned. As long as these two were together, they would always bicker. This gave Gu Fei a headache. He even suspected that these two had a grudge against each other in their previous lives. What do you plan to do next? Baron, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said to Gu Fei. With their strength, it was absolutely impossible for them to compete with the ancient desolate faction for the ancient sacrificial altar, which was rumored to be able to reappear the heavenly road. However, if they were to retreat now, they would be somewhat unwilling. He Tian and Shaoqing both looked at Gu Fei. They followed Gu Fei's lead. If Gu Fei said that he wanted to retreat, they would immediately leave the sky market. If Gu Fei said that he wanted to stay and compete with those people, they would also stay without hesitation and advance and retreat together with Gu Fei. And Gu Fei pondered. Entering the legendary heaven realm was the dream of all cultivators, and Gu Fei was no exception. Gu Fei was really unwilling to retreat now. He had 5 great sacred weapons, so he could definitely compete with those sect master level characters. However, if he encountered a contemporary almighty, he was afraid that he would not be able to do so. Gu Fei was only an immortal martial king in the profound transformation realm. It was still possible for him to challenge immortal emperors and deity emperors in the celestial being realm, but it was impossible for him to challenge almighties in the current era. It was already heaven-defying for him to challenge the celestial being immortal emperor and Shin king. If he could also compete with the contemporary almighty, then Gu Fei would really be invincible. Even if he had 5 great sacred weapons, Gu Fei would definitely not be able to do so with his current cultivation. Finally, Shaoqing, He Tian and Balon all entered Gu Fei's inner world. Then, Gu Fei walked towards the depths of the sky market alone. He had the protection of the sacred weapons and the inner world. If he encountered an enemy that he could not defeat, he could hide in the inner world. Rumble! The whole heaven and earth were shaking. Terrifying auras kept erupting. The closer Gu Fei got to the battlefield, the more shocked he was. He sensed the auras of no less than 5 almighty sacred weapons in the depths of the sky market. There were sect master level characters with almighty sacred weapons fighting. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. A huge seal the size of a mountain was shot out from the depths of the sky market. In an instant, it disappeared into the horizon. Wherever the great seal passed, the entire space would tremble and crack apart. It was terrifying to the extreme. That is, after a quick glance, Gu Fei was extremely shocked. It was a seal that was exactly the same as the Tai Sovereign seal. However, He knew that it could not be the Tai Sovereign Seal because the Tai Sovereign Seal was in the hands of Old Tortoise. A almighty sacred weapon that imitates the Tai Sovereign Seal? Gu Fei was secretly shocked. A almighty sacred weapon was sent flying. It could be seen that the battle in the depths of the sky market was so intense that someone with the almighty sacred weapon had to leave. Roar! Just as the seal was sent flying, a furious roar came from the depths of the sky market. A person with disheveled hair and covered in blood rushed out from the depths of the sky market. Swoosh! Just as that person rushed out, a purple divine sword directly broke through the void behind him. It slashed out and split that person in half. Even his spiritual soul could not escape. A sect master level old monster was killed on the spot by the purple sword. The purple sword made a turn in the air and flew back. Even old monsters were about to fall. The battle for the Sky Tower had clearly reached a white-hot stage. Those people were no longer showing any mercy. Even the ancient Baron's forces had people attacking each other. Chapter 983. Gu Fei stood on the peak of a mountain, looking at the terrifying battlefield in the depths of the sky market. He sensed an extremely powerful domain power enveloping that part of the battlefield. The old monster who wielded the Almighty Saint weapon had used the power of the Almighty Saint weapon to seal that part of the world. Unless Gu Fei used the Supreme Saint weapon, it would be difficult for him to enter. He had some scruples, so he couldn't use the Supreme Saint weapon. He could only wait outside. Just now, in front of Gu Fei's eyes, a saint weapon of Almighty was shot out from the depths of the sky market. An old monster was killed by a Dao sword. That was definitely an immortal emperor of greater success, but he was killed just like that. Even an old monster with a saint weapon of Almighty had fallen. The blood of an immortal emperor sprinkled down from the sky. The drops of blood were like blood-colored agate, blooming with bloody light. The blood contained great power. A drop of blood from an immortal emperor of greater success could annihilate an immortal god. It was extremely terrifying. Roar! Undying old man, how dare you kill an immortal emperor of my sect? You can die now! An angry voice resounded from the depths of the sky market. Then, a huge golden hand directly grabbed down from the sky. It broke through the void sealed by the saint weapon and went into the depths of the sky market. Primordial Tao Lord? A cry of surprise came from the depths of the sky market. Then, a purple gold gourd rushed out from under the golden hand with billowing purple chi. There was a figure below the purple gold gourd. Streams of purple chi fell from the purple gold gourd, protecting the figure as it rushed out from the depths of the sky market. Has the current Almighty made a move? Gu Fei saw this scene from thousands of miles away. He couldn't help but tremble in fear. The aura of the Almighty was sweeping over, making it difficult for him to breathe. The current Almighty had made a move and immediately scared away an old fossil who was only a step away from becoming an Almighty. Moreover, this old fossil also had a saint weapon of Almighty. Boom! The huge golden hand descended from the sky, shattering the void. At least 5 or 6 figures rushed out from the depths of the sky ruin. Everyone had to retreat when the almighty figures of the present age attacked. Even if these people had almighty holy weapons, it was still not enough in front of a true almighty. Everyone vomited blood and retreated. That undying old man suffered an even greater impact. The purple gold gourd above his head was shaken, and he vomited a large mouthful of blood. The void gourd really lives up to its name! A vast voice resounded throughout the heavens and earth. This voice was like the voice of the heavens. Although it wasn't very loud, it was able to shake the souls of those who heard it, causing them to unconsciously submit. The leader of the primeval Dao sect, the primeval Dao Lord? Gu Fei sealed his body with the power of heaven and earth to resist the various powerful and terrifying auras that came from the depths of the sky ruin. The voice that resounded in the world still ignored the obstruction of Gu Fei's power of heaven and earth and entered Gu Fei's ears. The heavenly voice of the Great Path. Almighty figures of the present age are indeed terrifying. They have already touched the great path of the heavens and earth. If they can prove their way, They will most likely become an extreme saint. Ever since Gu Fei refined the soul memory of the Shin clan's ancestor, his knowledge had greatly changed. Experts of the Almighty Realm were supreme figures who already stood in front of the Great Path. With just one more step, such a person could become an extreme saint. Gu Fei was secretly shocked. Although he sealed his body with the power of heaven and earth to prevent his aura from leaking out, he wasn't sure if he could hide it from the almighty figures of the present age. The huge golden hand did not catch the undying old man, but it had already severely injured him. If it wasn't for the protection of the void gourd, the undying old man would have died long ago. The void gourd, I want it! The voice rang out again, and another golden hand stretched down from the sky, directly grabbing at the undying old man. The hand was as large as a mountain, and it enveloped a part of the world, blocking the sky. It was filled with the boundless power of the metal element. The void of the world was silently shattered and annihilated under this huge hand. It directly turned the void of the world into chaotic nothingness. Too terrifying. Gu Fei saw this scene from thousands of miles away. He felt the terrifying aura emitted by the huge golden hand, but his heart still did not palpitate. One could imagine how terrifying this attack was. Roar! Great path of the void, divine sword breaks the sky, open for me! The undying old man roared. At this time, he had no choice but to go all out. He used all his strength to drive the void gourd. The void gourd suddenly emitted endless purple divine light. There seemed to be a world inside the gourd, spewing out a terrifying power that made the world lose its color. Swoosh! Endless purple divine light gathered at the mouth of the purple gold gourd. Then, a dazzling divine light rushed out of the gourd like a divine sword that could destroy the world. In an instant, it cut through the void that was sealed by the huge golden hand. Then, the undying old man rushed into the crack in the void that was broken by the purple divine light. He directly moved through the void and escaped. Damn it! The primordial path master's voice sounded. The golden hand grabbed the void and shattered it. However, at this time, the undying old man had escaped to somewhere unknown. Hee hee! Primordial path master, you are too careless. The void gourd is not fated with you. At this moment, a cyan figure silently appeared high up in the sky. He stared at a cloud high up in the sky and sneered. The huge golden hand dissipated in the void. Old Jiang, you are here too? A sage-like figure stepped on a five-colored auspicious cloud and walked out from the cloud. This person was the current Almighty, the Archaic Tao Sect Master, the Archaic Tao Sect Master. The old man in green who appeared in the sky was the Emperor God of the Clan of the Ancients. Swoosh! As he spoke, another powerful aura that caused the heavens and earth to tremble came from the distance. A rainbow-colored lotus tore through the air and rapidly approached them. On the lotus stood a beautiful female sage. The Almighty of the Yaotai ancient sacred ground had arrived. Purple Emperor, stop hiding. Come out. The Emperor God of the Jiang family suddenly turned around and looked in a direction in the sky. He then said coldly, Old Jiang, you don't seem to be in the ancient world of chaos? A voice sounded in the sky. In the direction that the Emperor God of the Jiang family looked in, the void suddenly distorted. Visible ripples spread in all directions like water waves. A figure directly walked out of the void as if he had passed through a layer of water waves. At this time, the Almighty of the current era finally could not sit still and could not help but jump out. In the center of the battlefield, an ancient altar floated. This was the sky tower that all the Almighty of the current era would go crazy over. However, just as all the Almighties arrived, a strange sound that sounded like muffled thunder suddenly came from the depths of the sky market. In the fog, palaces appeared indistinctly from the depths of the sky market. It was a legendary palace. Chapter 984. The most mysterious place in the eastern region was the central region of the sky market. No one knew what was inside. At some point in time, an illusory palace had started to appear in the depths of the sky market. There was no pattern to the appearance of this mysterious palace. No one could predict the exact time of its appearance. Even the sect master of the Sky Secrets sect, the Old Man of Sky Secrets, who was said to be able to predict the future for 50,000 years, had not been able to divine the origin of the palace. Some people said that it was a palace that had fallen from the heaven realm, and was not something from the mortal world. Hence, the Old Man of Sky Secrets could not divine the origin of the palace. Just as everyone was fighting over the sky-connecting platform in the depths of the Sky Market, the palace that had appeared in the central region of the Sky Market disappeared into the chaotic chi. The central region of the Sky Market was the core of the entire Sky Market. It was dusky, and endless chaotic chi enveloped the entire place. Even cultivators who had cultivated the heavenly eye could not see through it. Rumble! As the Almighties appeared one after another, the faint and illusory heavenly palace, which had been hidden in the depths of the heavenly market, appeared once again. An ancient aura surged out from the depths of the Sky Market. All the cultivators felt a wave so powerful that it made their souls tremble. It was as if a supreme Tao saint had been awakened from his slumber in the palace. Even the expressions of the Almighties changed. Swoosh! At that moment, a dark yellow figure suddenly appeared on the pitch-black ancient altar that was floating in midair. The sudden turn of events caused everyone's eyes to bulge out of their sockets. That is, the four great powers of the present age were even more shocked. There was actually someone hiding in front of them, hiding nearby without them knowing, and even ascending to the heavenly way platform that everyone's eyes were red with envy. Bam! The moment the figure shrouded in golden light ascended the Tao platform, the Tao platform trembled and almost knocked the figure off the Tao platform. Everyone was dumbfounded. The being that had ascended the sky-connecting platform was not a human, a demon, or a demon. It was a dark yellow skeleton. Thousands of miles away, Gu Fei could not help but be stunned when he saw this scene with his martial path heavenly eye. This mysterious yellow skeleton was in the depths of the pseudo-heaven realm. It was a terrifying existence that could force the Almighty of the present age to retreat. Although the soul fire in the skull of this skeleton was extremely weak, and it seemed that it could be extinguished at any time, it was still extremely terrifying. The Almighty of the primordial immortal sect, Violet Emperor, had been injured by this skeleton and had almost lost his Tao foundation. It had taken him a lot of effort to recover to his peak state. When he saw the golden skeleton again, the Purple Emperor's face turned extremely ugly. No one dared to act blindly without thinking, not even the current era's almighty experts dared to. Everyone felt uneasy. This mysterious yellow skeleton actually came out from the fake heaven realm. Waha! How can I, old tortoise, miss out on such a lively event? Just as everyone was silent, a loud laughter that sounded like the wails of ghosts and the howls of wolves came from the horizon. A terrifying ripple that caused one's heart to palpitate spread out. Everyone quickly looked in the direction of the laughter. It was not a big deal, but it gave everyone a fright. At the end of the horizon, the shadow of a dragon, larger than the primordial mountains, almost filled the entire sky. The aura of the ancestral dragon made everything in the world tremble. Whoosh! Even the dark yellow skeleton on the sky-connecting platform looked at the shadow of the dragon. Its eye sockets shot out two dazzling beams of dark yellow light. Ancestral dragon! A voice rang out in everyone's heart. Even Gu Fei, who was thousands of miles away, heard it. This was the soul wave of the dark yellow skeleton. Although the soul flame in the skull of the mysterious yellow skeleton was almost extinguished, a wisp of soul fluctuations still enveloped the entire void. No one could hide from the mysterious yellow skeleton. Gu Fei's heart trembled. He used the power of the world to seal his body, but he still couldn't escape the detection of the dark yellow skeleton. Such a character was truly frightening. Old Tortoise is here! Gu Fei sensed this extremely powerful aura. Although he felt as if an ancient divine mountain was pressing down on his heart, he was both surprised and happy at the same time. It wasn't that they didn't have a chance. Now that the old tortoise was here, everything was full of variables. Under the aura of the ancestral dragon, Demon Lord Huanglong almost prostrated himself. This was the reverence for the ancestor of all dragons. Demon Lord Huanglong could only feel his soul trembling. Whoosh! The ancestral dragon shadow that filled the sky suddenly disappeared. A tall figure appeared on the horizon. He took a step forward and instantly arrived near the sky-connecting platform. "Oh, how did you manage to come out from that place with your old bones?" The old tortoise was surrounded by 9 streams of dragon chi in the shape of the ancestral dragon, giving off an extremely powerful sense of oppression. The old tortoise was also very surprised to see the dark yellow skeleton on the sky-connecting platform. Rays of divine light shot out from his eyes as he stared at the skeleton. "You are Bashya?" Divine light flickered in the skeleton's eye sockets. A voice rang in everyone's heart. This was the fluctuation of the soul wave. They could communicate without talking. "You can't be that fierce, man, can you?" When Old Tortoise heard this, he immediately put away his frivolous expression and became serious. The fact that the other party could see through his origin really shocked him. "Bashya? How is that possible? How could he be Bashya? Did I hear it wrong?" The 4 great powers were dumbfounded. Bashya was an extremely ancient name. The legend of the dragon having 9 sons could be traced back to the ancient times. Bashya, this guy is the legendary Bashya. Gu Fei was also stunned by the old tortoise's identity. Was this guy really the legendary son of the supreme dragon ancestor? This kind of background was really too frightening. "I won't kill you for the sake of your father. Get lost," the dark yellow skeleton said coldly. Everyone was stunned by its arrogance. It actually told the son of the dragon ancestor to get lost? The old tortoise's nose became crooked from anger. "Humph!" The old tortoise laughed in anger. "So what if you are that fierce man?" The old tortoise flipped his right hand. An ancient seal the size of a fist appeared in his hand. It was an ancient seal that was full of cracks. There was no aura or fluctuation coming from it. This fiend's name wasn't something he called out, but something he had fought for. The number of ancient experts that had died at his hands was simply too many to count. Roar! The mysterious yellow skeleton was thoroughly enraged by the old tortoise. This guy was too hateful. Even if the dragon ancestor came in person, the mysterious yellow skeleton would still kill this guy. Swoosh! The mysterious yellow skeleton made its move. 2 rays of mysterious yellow divine light shot out from its eye sockets and condensed into 2 mysterious yellow divine swords that pierced the old tortoise above. "So what if you're the son of the dragon ancestor? I'll still kill you!" The mysterious yellow divine swords shattered the void and pierced through the heaven and earth, displaying a terrifying power. In an instant, they arrived in front of the old tortoise at an extremely fast speed. "Are you afraid that you have teeth?" The old tortoise directly blasted out a punch with a mighty dragon aura. On top of the fist, an ancestral dragon's shadow rushed out. Bang! The old tortoise's fist collided with the 2 piercing mysterious yellow divine swords. The ancestral dragon's shadow clashed with the mysterious yellow divine swords. The mysterious yellow divine swords shattered in the void, and the ancestral dragon's shadow that rushed out of the old tortoise's fist also dissipated. The 2 peerless figures seemed to be evenly matched in their first exchange. Eh? The mysterious yellow skeleton was very surprised that this little worm could withstand its blow. It seemed that the opponent was very strong. Could it be that this little worm had taken that step? Rumble! The chi of heaven and earth was vast and mighty. After its first attack failed, the heaven and earth skeleton stepped onto the Skirich platform and soared into the sky, charging directly at Old Tortoise. At this time, the 4 powerful figures of the current era all retreated. A battle of this level was enough to affect them and cause them serious injuries. The Purple Emperor was a very good example. In the pseudo-heaven realm, his Tao foundation was almost destroyed by the mysterious yellow skeleton, and it took him a long time to recover. Once bitten, twice shy. The Purple Emperor was the first powerful figure of the current era to retreat. Even the powerful figures of the current era had to retreat, and the others also retreated as far as they could. Bang! The old tortoise directly pressed down with the Tai Sovereign seal in his hand. The aura of the extreme path spread between heaven and earth, and the ancient seal became as huge as a mountain. The void and the land within a radius of 1,000 miles were instantly destroyed by the mighty divine power of the Tai Sovereign Seal at the same time, turning into chaotic nothingness. The mysterious yellow skeleton, along with the heavenly platform, was suddenly struck into the chaotic nothingness. This was the power of the Extreme Path's sacred weapon, capable of destroying heaven and earth, and destroying everything. "I'll destroy your old bones so that you can't even become an undead creature." The old tortoise drove the Tai Sovereign Seal and directly rushed into the depths of the chaotic nothingness, fighting against the mysterious yellow skeleton. From time to time, terrifying divine lights that pierced through the void rushed out and swept in all directions. The powerful figures of the current era were all frightened by this scene. Swoosh! A mysterious yellow divine light rushed out from the depths of the chaotic nothingness and swept a mountain. The mountain, along with several powerful figures of the sect master level on it, turned into nothingness and completely disappeared from this world. This was the most thorough way to die. Both body and soul were destroyed, and they could not even become ghosts. Boom! A purple demonic light swept out from the depths of the chaotic nothingness, causing the earth to tremble. Wherever the demonic light passed, an endless crack was left on the ground, and a bottomless abyss immediately appeared on the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but gasp and quickly retreated further away. If they were caught in the crossfire, they would be out of luck. The power of the Extreme Path's sacred weapon was unstoppable, not even the sacred weapon of the Great Path. Under the attack of the Extreme Path's sacred weapon, perhaps only the saints of the Extreme Path could survive. The sky in the heavenly market was penetrated. At this time, the aura of the heavenly palace that appeared in the center of the heavenly market became more and more terrifying. It was no longer faint and illusory, and seemed to be completely manifesting. What's going on? What happened? Chapter 986. The old tortoise and the yellow skeleton displayed their unparalleled divine might. They pierced through the sky and into the depths of the chaotic void. Two waves of divine might surged out from the chaotic void, almost shattering the entire sky and earth. It was extremely terrifying. The sky-reaching platform. Everyone was dumbfounded. Needless to say, the yellowish skeleton from the pseudo-heaven realm was using the sky-reaching platform to fight against the old tortoise who held the Tai Sovereign Seal. According to legend, the Supreme Tao ancestor who created the Supreme Immortal Path comprehended the Tao on the sky-reaching platform and became an invincible Supreme Sage. The sky-reaching platform was branded with the Supreme Tao ancestor's Great Path mark. It was in Supreme Sacred Weapon. The confrontation between the two Supreme Sacred Weapons made everyone tremble. Under the divine might of the Supreme Tao, the fear came from the depths of the soul. Even the souls of the Almighties were shaken, and they almost knelt before the divine might of the Supreme Tao. Fortunately, the old tortoise and the yellowish skeleton were fighting in the depths of the void, so the terrifying aura of the Supreme Sacred Weapons had been greatly weakened. Otherwise, people would have died in the depths of the heavenly market. Even the Almighties of the present era could not withstand the divine might of the Supreme Sacred Weapons, let alone those who had not become Almighties yet. The divine might of the Supreme Sacred Weapons surged out from the depths of the void and shook the entire world. The void continued to shatter and turn into the void. The pitch-black cracks in the space spread out in all directions like a spider web. The void was constantly collapsing. Such power was enough to kill immortals and gods. Whoosh! A crack in the space, like a pitch-black ray of death, spread toward the mountain where Gu Fei was. The earth trembled and a bottomless abyss appeared where the crack reached. Oh no! Gu Fei, who was on the peak of the mountain, was instantly shocked, and then he didn't hesitate to soar into the sky and dodge. Rumble! Amidst the earth-shattering noise, the mountain where Gu Fei was torn in half by the crack in the space. How terrifying! If Gu Fei hesitated for even a moment, he would be swallowed by that spatial crack. Although he wouldn't die, he would definitely be in danger. The terrifying destructive power that tore through the void could obliterate immortal gods and cause immortal kings and god kings to pale. Under the divine might of the Extreme Path's sacred weapon, the entire world shook violently. In the depths of the heavenly market, the sky palace and the primal chaos became increasingly distinct. This was an ancient palace that seemed to be isolated from this world. It was blurry, but now, it was about to break through the barrier and reveal itself to the world. A terrifying aura comparable to the divine power of the extreme Tao emanated from the ancient palace in the midst of chaos, causing all living beings to tremble in fear. Everyone below the level of an almighty nearly had a mental breakdown when they felt this aura. They frantically rushed out of the heavenly market, wanting to leave this region. The aura of the extreme path's sacred weapon and the sky palace not only spread throughout the sky market, but it also spread out of the sky market and throughout the entire eastern region. On this day, all living beings in the eastern region sensed the existence of the extreme path's sacred weapon more than once. All of them were trembling in fear and unease. The great sects of the human race in the eastern region, the eastern goblin tribe in the easternmost region, and even the great demons in the bottomless devil cave in the eastern region were alarmed. Shrill and terrifying demonic roars came from the devil cave in the eastern region. The entire eastern region, even the entire Tinglong continent, had an undercurrent surging. Everyone's attention was focused on the eastern region. Terrifying figures kept coming out of the eastern region and entering the eastern region. Some people saw a super-old fossil that was rumored to have been dead for 10,000 years appear outside the sky market in the eastern region. Some people also saw a huge stone coffin surrounded by a deathly aura rushing into the sky market. Some people saw a Tai Chi divine diagram flash across the sky above the sky market. The appearance of the sky-piercing platform shocked everyone. Even some of the old fellows who were rumored to have perished jumped out. People like that were even more terrifying than sect masters. At the moment when the aura of the extreme path's sacred weapon spread out from the sky market, all the supreme experts in the Tinglong continent woke up from their deep sleep at the same time. In a sacred land in the easternmost region, an ancestral dragon rushed out from a sacred mountain that pierced through the 9 heavens. The ancestral dragon's aura was vast and mighty. The entire profound realm of the eastern goblin tribe was shaken. Roar! The 10,000 zhang tall ancestral dragon roared towards the sky. Its voice shook the earth and the earth. Its huge body was like a mountain, lying in the sky. Bang! The ancestral dragon directly broke the void and rushed towards the sky market. In the profound realm of the demon clan, extremely terrifying figures rushed out one after another. All of them were filled with demonic chi. They also broke the void and disappeared from the world. In the land of the northern devil region, 7 giant cities that looked like the Big Dipper had already risen into the sky. There was no one in the ancient giant cities. Every giant city was shining with endless starlight. They resonated with the Big Dipper in the sky and drew the endless power of the stars. These were 7 ancient divine cities. They were like 7 huge stars that were guarding the sky above the northern devil region. Below the 7 ancient divine cities, there was a devil's den that was spewing out demonic chi. From time to time, terrifying demonic roars could be heard from the devil's den, as if countless demons were about to rush out from the devil's denver. However, the 7 divine cities were above the devil's denver. Although the demons in the devil's den were roaring and letting out terrifying demonic roars, they were unable to rush out from the devil's denver. In every divine city, there was a figure sitting with his legs crossed. He looked illusory and illusory. There was the aura of the Great Path lingering in the divine cities. To be able to draw the power of the Great Path, this was a terrifying existence that had surpassed the realm of mighty cultivators. Even if they were not extreme path saints, they were at least sage to be saints. Roar! In the sky market, the moment the extreme path's sacred weapons in the hands of the old turtle and the yellow skeleton were revived, a terrifying demonic roar sounded from the land of the northern devil region. The entire northern devil region shook as if something had been broken. The devil's den under the 7 divine cities suddenly spewed out monstrous demonic chi. Rumble! The 7 divine cities that were suppressing the devil's den were shaking. From the divine cities, starlight that looked like huge dragons descended and obliterated the demonic chi that was spewing out. In the center of the northern devil region, there was also a terrifying devil's denver. Moreover, this devil's den was even bigger than the ones under the 7 divine cities. Endless demonic chi condensed into a 10,000-foot tall demonic shadow that roared at the sky. Bang! The moment the demonic shadow was formed, a Tai Chi divine diagram descended from the sky and enveloped a part of the world. Endless power of the sun and the moon poured down from the divine diagram. Like a huge millstone that could destroy the world, it directly obliterated the demonic shadow. Chapter 987. Some supreme experts immediately sensed the emergence of the divine weapon and woke up from their slumber. In the devil region of the extreme north, demons danced wildly. Beneath the devil region of the extreme north, there seemed to be many great demons sealed. 7 divine cities hovered high above the devil region, drawing upon the power of the Big Dipper and suppressing all directions. Bang! 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 Terrifying great demons began to attack the 7 divine cities. In each of the caves, there was a demonic figure faintly discernible, emitting a terrifying aura. However, the 7 divine cities were like 7 unshakable divine mountains. They didn't budge at all. No matter how the demons in the caves attacked, it was futile. In the center of the extreme north, above the giant cave, a Taiji diagram floated in the air, suppressing a terrifying great demon back into the cave. Roar! An earth-shattering howl resounded from the devil cave, and a monstrous devil chi surged into the sky. A ferocious devil with 2 pitch-black horns on its head rushed out of the devil cave. Humph! The middle-aged man standing on the Taiji diagram sneered, then directly punched down. Bang! The entire void below was shattered by his fist. The fierce demon screamed and was smashed into pieces by the middle-aged man. In an instant, both its body and soul were destroyed. Old demon foam, don't send these cannon fodder to die! Above the Taiji diagram, the middle-aged man stood with his arms crossed in front of his chest. 2 rays of cold light shot out from his eyes, sweeping over the demon cave below. You! A powerful soul fluctuation spread out from the bottom of the demon cave. The supreme demon below was almost infuriated, but there was nothing he could do. If Gu Fei was here, he would be incomparably shocked. This middle-aged man standing on the Taiji diagram was the supreme existence that defied the heavens and was reborn from the yin-yang jade pendant. This supreme existence had battled endlessly with the legendary fire devil ancestor during the Battle of the Northern Region, and it had displayed its supreme combat strength. Now, this supreme existence was suppressing the largest demon lair in the far north demon region, causing the terrifying great demon hiding inside to not dare to come out. Chaotic times. The middle-aged man standing on the Tai Chi divine diagram looked towards the eastern domain. That was all he said. He did not move towards the eastern domain. The awakened great demons were all suppressed beneath the extreme north devil region, unable to come out and cause trouble. However, there were other supreme existences that weren't sealed. In the sky above the Buddhist mountain of the West Earth, there was a world hidden in the void. This was the profound realm of the Buddhist sect, a world personally refined by the Buddhist Lord. That was the true foundation of the Buddhist sect. Everything on the outside was just a facade. What they saw wasn't the true Buddhist sect. All the foundation of the Buddhist sect was in the heavenly Buddha Tao. The heavenly Buddha Tao, the head of the 6 paths of reincarnation, was an ideal world created by the ancient Buddha Lord, a perfect kingdom of heaven. There was no birth, aging, sickness, and death, transcending the cycle of reincarnation. It was the best place for all. Many super old fogies knew that there was a heavenly Buddha path in the Buddhist League, but no one dared to have any designs on it, because the Buddhist League's heritage was too terrifying. The moment the extreme Tao Saint weapon awakened in the sky market, one of the foundations of the Buddhist sect awakened and charged out of the heavenly Buddha path. Bang! The air trembled and a part of the sky above the spirited mountain suddenly collapsed and shattered. Then, a golden figure walked out from the shattered space. This was a Buddha whose entire body was shrouded in golden Buddhist light, and there was a golden wheel behind his head. With every step this Buddha took, a 7-colored lotus bloomed beneath his feet. With just a few steps, the Buddha charged out of the Western Buddhist sect and disappeared into the void. Crossing mountains and rivers with a single step, this speed was countless times faster than Gu Fei's 8 steps. In a few unknown ancient regions on the Tenglong continent, terrifying energy waves burst out. There were supreme characters awakening and walking out. It was unknown how long these people had been asleep, but they all had one thing in common. They were all awakened by the awakening of the extreme Tao Saint weapon. Without any suspense, these supreme existences headed straight for the eastern region. At that moment, in the sky market, in the ancient battlefield below the abyss, an ancient stone door suddenly shook. It seemed like something was trying to come out from behind the tightly shut stone door. The ancient stone door was covered in marks left behind by swords, sabers, spears, swords, and axes. There was even a tiny handprint in the middle of the door. Gu Fei had once thought that this was the legendary ancient heaven door that led to the heavenly realm. Who would have thought that behind the ancient stone door was not the heavenly realm, but a place that was on the verge of collapse? That place couldn't even compare to the profound realm refined by the ancient saints. Bang! Something slammed into the stone door with a dull thud. The violent impact caused the stone door to shake continuously, and even the entire ancient battlefield to shake. Gu Fei had spent a lot of effort to open the stone door. Gu Fei was an emperor martial god. His physical strength was so strong that not even a celestial could compare to him. He had used brute force to open the stone door from the outside. Meanwhile, the existence behind the stone door wanted to open it from the other side. This seemed to be even more laborious, but as the energy fluctuations that erupted from behind the stone door grew stronger, the ancient stone door finally cracked open a little. Swish! Behind the stone door, a blood-red light flashed. A mass of blood-red light rushed out from behind the stone door. The blood-red demonic light illuminated the entire ancient battlefield, as well as the entire area under the abyss. Every inch of the earth abyss was instantly filled with the blood-colored light. A pungent smell of blood rose from the bottom of the earth abyss. It was as if a sea of blood had suddenly appeared at the bottom of the earth abyss. Ha ha! I, the blood demon, have finally returned. The endless blood-colored light came from a person. No, it should be a demonic figure. A faint, illusory, blood-colored demonic figure that emitted a terrifying aura. Swish! In the next moment, the endless blood-colored light suddenly retreated like a tide. As the terrifying demonic energy dissipated, a young man wearing a blood-colored armor with crimson hair appeared in front of the ancient stone door. An extreme sacred weapon? The red-haired young man's expression immediately changed when he sensed the aura of the extreme sacred weapon. He turned into a ray of blood-colored light and soared into the sky, charging out of the earth abyss. Chapter 988. In the depths of the abyss, there was an ancient stone gate in the center of the desolate battlefield, which was littered with white bones. On the stone gate, there was an ancient Tao pattern. The aura of the great Tao lingered around it. Bang! 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 Violent banging sounds came from behind the ancient stone gate. The whole stone gate was shaking. The stone gate, which had been cracked open a little, seemed like it could break open at any time. Traces of demon chi seeped out from the crack. It seemed like there was a terrifying demon behind the stone gate. Every time it collided, the whole world shook. The white bones around the stone door were all blown away, turning into bone powder and scattering in the air. A terrifying demonic power surged out from behind the stone door, surging through the entire abyss. The demonic power that came out from behind the ancient stone door almost dispersed the cold yin chi at the bottom of the abyss. At this time, in the depths of the sky market, the old tortoise and the mysterious yellow skeleton were still fighting. The power of the supreme sacred weapon spread in the sky and on the ground. Apart from the almighties of the current era, the other people had already retreated from the depths of the sky market. Even Gu Fei had to protect himself with the mountain and river cauldron in order to barely withstand the terrifying power of the extreme divine weapon and not be forced back. Those two guys. In the depths of the sky market, the old tortoise controlled the Tai Huang seal and continuously bombarded the mysterious yellow skeleton standing on the supreme platform. Monstrous demon Qi surged out from the Tai Huang seal and shattered everything. The mysterious yellow skeleton was also amazing. It could actually make the supreme platform under its feet release a trace of the supreme sacred weapon. Above the supreme platform, 9 dragons formed by chaotic Qi rushed out to resist the attack of the Tai Huang seal. The 9 dragons that rushed out from the supreme platform looked like the ancestral dragon. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, constantly colliding with the Tai Huang seal. The fight turned the world into a chaotic void. The mighty divine power of the 2 supreme sacred weapons caused the earth to shatter, the sky to collapse, and the land within a radius of 10,000 miles violently undulated like LNG. Although Gu Fei was not forced to retreat from the depths of the heavenly market by the might of the extreme path's sacred weapon, he had no choice but to retreat 5,000 to 6,000 miles away. This was the heaven and earth and the sky market. It was extremely stable. Even immortals and deities could not break it. However, a part of the heaven and earth in the depths of the sky market was broken by a divine weapon of the extreme Tao. If it happened outside, the entire eastern region of the Tenglong continent would have sunk. The Xianhuang skeleton that stood on the supreme platform suffered a great impact and was sent flying from the supreme platform. Cracks appeared on its Xianhuang skeleton. How is this possible? The Xianhuang skeleton was sent flying thousands of kilometers away. Its Xianhuang skeleton, which was as powerful as a mighty divine weapon, almost fell apart. The soul fire in its skull was almost extinguished. Retreat! When the 4 Almighties saw this, they could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. They took flight lights and rushed out of the sky market. Everywhere the transparent ripples passed, everything, whether tangible or intangible, would be shattered. Even the rooftop was submerged by the waves of transparent ripples that spread out. Gu Fei had no choice but to retreat. The 5 elements miniature world circled around him. He walked in the 5 elements miniature world and raised his 8 steps extreme speed to the limit. Gu Fei could cross 250 kilometers with a single step when he used the 8 desolation steps at full strength. It was much faster than teleportation. After taking 10 steps, Gu Fei was already 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers away. When Gu Fei stopped and turned around, he was completely dumbfounded by the scene behind him. No matter how determined he was, he could not help but be shocked at that moment. The depths of the heavenly market had been completely annihilated and turned into an extremely chaotic chaos. A terrifying aura of destruction surged out from within. It was as terrifying as the evolution of a chaotic world. Gu Fei's astonishment was at an indescribable level right now. Within the Sky Palace, a single ring of a bell had caused an area of 10,000 miles in radius to crumble and be destroyed. This was simply way too terrifying. This was a power that could destroy the heavens and earth. Chapter 989. The sound of the bell had turned the area of 10,000 miles into primal chaos. Such a terrifying scene had subdued everyone. No one was not startled. Such a method was too frightening. Even the almighty experts of the present age had a pale expression on their faces. The old turtle had disappeared without a trace. Roar! A formidable soul fluctuation reverberated between the heaven and earth. The mysterious yellow skeleton rushed back. Above the mysterious yellow skeleton's body, a vast and mighty mysterious yellow energy surged up to the sky. Mysterious yellow world transformation, break for me! The mysterious yellow skeleton was furious. Someone had snatched the supreme heaven platform from its hands. It was truly enraged. Therefore, it directly used its killer move. Rumble! The monstrous mysterious yellow energy covered the heaven and earth. It enveloped the entire heaven and earth. It shrouded the entire area of 10,000 miles, and then obliterated the primal chaos. The mysterious yellow skeleton actually wanted to break the primal chaos and take back the supreme heaven platform. Under the shroud of the mysterious yellow divine light, everyone felt a great pressure. It was as if an ancient divine mountain was pressing down on their bodies. Their minds were shaken. Bang! Gu Fei was directly suppressed by the mysterious yellow divine light that descended from the sky. The ground was crushed by the mysterious yellow divine light. His complexion changed drastically as he was shocked. A trace of the mysterious yellow essence chi was enough to crush a mountain ridge. It was the most dreadful thing. However, the mysterious yellow essence chi from the mysterious yellow skeleton's body had already surged towards the primal chaos in front of it. This was just a trace of its residual power. However, even a trace of its residual power was enough to suppress Gu Fei to the point that he couldn't stand up straight. Is this guy really the legendary peerless monster? Gu Fei was secretly startled. Although the mysterious yellow skeleton was extremely powerful, he wasn't afraid of it. He had all kinds of life-saving means. Even if he encountered such a character, he could still escape. The mysterious yellow skeleton's ominous aura was monstrous. The mysterious yellow essence chi rushed out from its skull like a huge dragon and rushed into the primal chaos. Rumble! The heaven and earth shook. The mysterious yellow essence chi broke through the primal chaos. Then, the essence chi transformed into a dragon and wrapped around the supreme heaven platform in the middle of the primal chaos. Clang! At this moment, another bell sound came from the chaotic zone. Then, the mysterious yellow essence chi that rushed out from the skull of the mysterious yellow skeleton dissipated in the void. Wow! A painful soul fluctuation came from the yellow skeleton's skull. This time, its divine soul was attacked, which almost drove it crazy. The mysterious yellow skeleton hugged its skull and was sent flying. The mysterious yellow divine light that enveloped the entire primal chaos zone was also dispersed by an unfathomable force that came from the primal chaos zone. The sound of the bell reverberated throughout the sky market. Then, it spread out from the sky market and lingered over the entire eastern region. Countless living beings heard the sound of the bell. More powerful than the Sanskrit Buddhist bell? Gu Fei was extremely shocked. Under the sound of the bell, although he had the protection of the extreme path sacred weapon and the inner world energy to isolate the outside world, he still felt that his divine soul was almost shattered. The unfathomable energy contained within this bell was actually able to affect one's soul, and it was able to disperse one's soul and cause one to become a soulless walking corpse. It was truly too terrifying. Cracks appeared on the skull of the mysterious yellow skeleton. It was unwilling. The sky-reaching platform that was already in its hands was actually snatched away by someone else. It simply couldn't accept this reality. The Supreme Heaven platform was also a very important sacred relic for the mysterious yellow skeleton. It also wanted to enter the heaven realm so that it could find the invincible power that it had lost. Sky Demon, you are still alive? The mysterious yellow skeleton calmed down and said such words. Hearing such words, everyone was petrified. Sky Demon, could it be that all of this was done by the Sky Demon? No one in the primal chaos zone answered. The sound of the bell reverberated throughout the sky market and the entire eastern region. It lasted for a long time, causing countless living beings to feel great danger. They were frightened and uneasy. This sound of the bell. After hearing the sound of the bell, a figure standing on top of a mountain immediately trembled and revealed a look of disbelief. At the same time, the blood in this person's body seemed to be burning. At this moment, there were signs that this person's cultivation was about to break through. Old ancestor, is still alive? This kind of feeling from the bloodline almost made this person dumbfounded. He muttered to himself, and then looked towards the depths of the sky market. That was where the sound of the bell came from. Damn! Could it be that the Sky Palace is the Sky Demon Palace of the Sky Demon? No wonder I felt that it was a little familiar. At this time, the old turtle appeared out of nowhere. Moreover, it appeared behind Gu Fei without anyone noticing. The voice of the old turtle suddenly sounded behind him. This time, Gu Fei was really shocked and almost jumped up from the ground. You! Gu Fei was speechless. He was so scared by the old turtle that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. TSK! Since when did you become so timid? The old turtle glanced at Gu Fei disdainfully and said nonchalantly. It turned out that the old turtle had long sensed Gu Fei's existence, and only came to meet Gu Fei now. Although Gu Fei used the power of the world to seal his body and isolate all fluctuations in aura, it was still difficult to hide from the old turtle. At this time, the old turtle's cultivation had already surpassed the almighty realm. Although it was not a supreme saint, it was still equivalent to a half-saint. Rumble! Chaotic energy surged violently in the chaotic zone with a radius of 10,000 miles. A powerful aura was emitted as if a supreme existence was awakening. Supreme Saint King of the Demon Race, Sky Demon? The expressions of the four Almighties changed after hearing the mysterious yellow skeleton's words. There was a Supreme Saint King of the Demon Race in the depths of the Sky Market? How was this possible? A living Supreme Saint King? Just the thought of it was enough to make one's heart palpitate. This was a supreme existence that could compete with the saints of the human race. Supreme saints are extinct. How could there still be a Saint King? How could he appear in this world? The old turtle muttered to himself. He felt a trace of uneasiness as the aura coming from the chaotic zone became stronger. The Sky Demon was one of the two Saint Kings of the demon race along with the Supreme Sovereign. They were also supreme existences in the hearts of all the demons in the world. No one would have thought that such a person's palace would appear in the depths of the Sky Market. Only a person like the Sky Demon could use countless divine materials to build such a heavenly palace. There seemed to be a terrifying existence hidden in this heavenly palace. The sound of the bell must have come from the supreme demon weapon refined by the Sky Demon. Chapter 990. Bang! Outside the chaotic area in the center of the Sky Market, a part of the void was shattered. An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded as an ancestor dragon rushed out of the void. The supreme expert of the dragon clan who came from the ancestor dragon mountain had arrived. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the entire world. In a radius of 10,000 miles, countless mountains collapsed. Several patriarchs who were close to the dragon's roar instantly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. They were killed by the dragon's roar. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. At this time, the old tortoise and Gu Fei had already flown high into the sky. They were shocked to see this scene. The old tortoise's expression became a little strange. The ancestor dragon's body was tens of thousands of feet long. It was like a mountain range lying high in the sky. The ancestor dragon's aura was vast and mighty between heaven and earth. Even the current almighties had to retreat. I didn't expect an ancestor dragon to still be alive. This is an incomparably ancient superfossil. Everyone was shocked to the extreme when they saw this ancestral dragon. This was a legendary existence that could only be seen in the ancient times during the golden age of the Great Desolation. The appearance of Tong Tian and the revival of the Extreme Path's sacred weapon had even alarmed the ancestor dragon and made it jump out. This was too unbelievable. The sages were extinct, and the true demons did not appear. Who in the world could be an opponent of the ancestor dragon? This was definitely a terrifying existence that surpassed the almighty realm. Perhaps it had already stepped into the Extreme Path realm. Even the mysterious yellow skeleton did not dare to act rashly when it saw the ancestor dragon. It had just suffered a big loss and its vitality was damaged. It probably had no chance of winning against the ancestor dragon. This world is such AF * King Tortoise. The lazy dragon of the past can actually grow into an ancestor dragon. The old tortoise muttered to himself and sighed. At this time, the ancestor dragon also saw the old tortoise and sensed the powerful bloodline aura that originated from the supreme dragon ancestor. A pair of dragon eyes immediately stared at the old tortoise. "Ayo hi, long time no see." The old tortoise took a step forward and said to the ancestral dragon. He had to admit that the ancestral dragon had surpassed him and was stronger than him. This made the old tortoise feel ashamed. After all, he possessed the bloodline of a saint king and was the saint prince. His talent was so great that probably even the greater demons that were born at the beginning of the world could not compare to him. However, although the old tortoise's cultivation base had broken through the almighty realm, he was still a little short of becoming an ancestral dragon. With just one more step, he would be able to cultivate the ancestral dragon's body and completely regain his past strength. Sacred Prince? The ancestral dragon was shocked to see the old tortoise. However, he quickly put away his awe and disbelief because he realized that the old tortoise's cultivation could not be compared to his. Haha! I didn't expect this. I didn't expect that the majestic sacred prince of a generation would actually fall to such a state. Ancestral dragon Aohai's voice spread throughout the sky and earth. Sacred prince? Everyone was extremely shocked when they heard ancestral dragon Aohai's words. There were definitely no saint kings of the monster race in the present world. Even in the great desolate immemorial era, there were only 2 saint kings of the monster race. Those 2 saint kings of the monster race were invincible existences in the 3 realms and 6 paths. Is he a grand sovereign or a sky demon? The almighties of the present world were super antiques that had lived for countless years and naturally knew many secrets of the ancient times. No one would have thought that the old tortoise was actually a sacred prince. This old man was too powerful. The bloodline of a supreme saint king was enough to shake the world. Humph! I also didn't expect that a lazy dragon of the past could actually cultivate the ancestral dragon's body. The old tortoise's expression was very ugly. Hee, why? Are you envious? The ancestral dragon was extremely pleased. So what if the old tortoise was a sacred prince? The current him could look down on a sacred prince. Of course, if the old tortoise was at his peak, this fellow would not have dared to be presumptuous in front of the old tortoise. Are you familiar with this fellow? Gu Fei transmitted his voice to the old tortoise. He did not expect the ancestral dragon that randomly jumped out to be an old acquaintance of the old tortoise. However, these 2 fellows did not seem to be on friendly terms. There was definitely something going on between the old tortoise and the ancestral dragon. Who knows this fellow? The old tortoise said in a very displeased manner. The other party's smug and self-satisfied expression made him angry. The ancestral dragon's aura was vast and mighty. The ancestral dragon's huge body that was in the form of the ancestral dragon shrank. Then, the ancestral dragon turned into a fair and plump middle-aged man. Gu Fei could not help but be a little dumbfounded when he saw this scene. This contrast was too great. After the ancestral dragon transformed, it turned out to be a big fat man. At this moment, waves of Buddhist chants suddenly came from the western sky. It was as if the sky was filled with Buddhas chanting sutras. A peaceful aura instantly enveloped the entire world. Another supreme being has arrived! When Gu Fei sensed this aura, he knew that the supreme being of the Western Buddhist land had arrived. Only the power of Buddhism could be so peaceful. The soaring evil chi in the sky market within a radius of 100,000 miles was almost dissolved by the power of Buddhism. A golden figure walked over from the western sky step by step. The peaceful aura calmed everyone's state of mind. Even their fighting spirit was pacified. Even Gu Fei had the urge to convert to it. Roar! The fat man in the form of the ancestral dragon roared at the sky and let out a dragon's roar. The world shook and the sky almost shattered. It was terrifying to the extreme. Everyone felt as if they had been hit in the head. They immediately woke up under the influence of the Buddhist power. Oh no! At this moment, 2 waves of Buddhist power suddenly came from Gu Fei's body. Then 2 rays of Buddhist light directly broke through his dantian and rushed out. Within the 2 rays of Buddhist light were 2 Buddhist weapons. They were the 3 realms Buddhist lamp and the Buddhist bell of Sanskrit. This kid has a supreme Buddhist weapon on him. Old Tortoise, who was standing next to Gu Fei, was shocked. He wanted to stop the 2 supreme Buddhist weapons that rushed out of Gu Fei's body. The fat man, Aohai, also transformed into an ancestral dragon claw. It tore through the void and grabbed the 2 supreme Buddhist weapons. These were supreme Buddhist weapons refined by the ancient Buddhist lords. Even the ancestral dragon would be jealous of them. However, Old Tortoise and Aohai were 1 step too late. The Buddhist light that enveloped the 2 supreme Buddhist weapons was too fast. In just an instant, it had already been taken back by the Buddha that walked over from the western sky. Old Tortoise and Ao Hai's expressions changed instantly. The two supreme Buddhist weapons floated above the Buddha's head. The Three Realms Buddhist lamp emitted an unprecedentedly strong Buddhist light that illuminated the 3,000 worlds. The melodious sound of the bell resounded throughout the 3 realms and 6 paths. Chapter 991. The Eternal Buddha? The old turtle and ancestor dragon Ao Hai were shocked. That Buddha was shrouded in Buddhist light and had the aura of the great Tao lingering around him. Swoosh! The old turtle pulled Gu Fei and rushed out of the sky market. This Buddha was too terrifying. He was actually reviving the Buddhist lamp and Buddhist bell of the 3 realms. It had to be known that they were supreme Buddhist weapons refined by the Eternal Buddha. If they were completely awakened, it would be disastrous. The sky market within 100,000 miles would probably sink. Ancestor Dragon Ao Hai had no choice but to retreat. Even Ao Hai, who had cultivated the ancestral dragon body, could not resist the supreme divine might of the sacred weapon. Everyone was retreating. Some people hiding in the side had no choice but to jump out. When these people jumped out, Gu Fei jumped in fright. Even the old turtle cried out in fear. Among these people, there were a few whose cultivation was not lower than his. Blood devil! Suddenly, Ao Hai cried out in surprise. Then, a monstrous murderous aura surged as he chased after a blood-colored devil as if he had seen a great enemy. It really is that devil. He's not dead yet. The old turtle was also shocked to see the blood-colored figure disappear in a flash. He did not expect a terrifying great devil to be hiding nearby. Boom! The world shook as the ancestral dragon aura surged. Ao Hai directly revealed his ancestral dragon body. He broke through the void and chased after the blood devil. Does this lazy dragon really have a grudge against the blood devil? The old turtle was bewildered. As long as it was a demon, it was a great enemy of the world. Whether it was a human, a demon, or a god, they had to attack when they saw a demon. Even if they did not attack, the demon would attack them. Demons walked the Tao of killing, using killing to form the Tao. Only endless bones could become a great demon. Rumble! At this time, the world shook violently. The Buddha actually used a supreme Buddhist weapon to break through the chaotic aura and rushed into the primal chaos zone ahead. The Eternal Buddha? It's just a clone! A loud voice suddenly came from the depths of the primal chaos zone and spread across 100,000 miles of the sky market. Each word was like an invisible hammer that pounded on everyone's soul. Sky Demon! Another voice rang out in the chaos zone. The voice was filled with a peaceful and benevolent aura, instantly calming one's heart. Boom! A deafening sound rang out from the depths of the primal chaos zone. The entire world trembled violently. After that, the heavens and earth shattered and the void was destroyed. The primal chaos zone expanded in all directions, devouring everything in its path. Roar! An enraged roar rang out. An unknown expert was unable to dodge in time and was sucked into the primal chaos zone. He roared and struggled, trying to escape. Go! Chapter 992. That is... Gu Fei stared at the godly phoenix in the sky. He was shocked to the extreme. The appearance of the godly phoenix had caused half the sky to turn red. Even the void was burnt to ashes. A terrifying aura of a divine beast swept over, causing Gu Fei's mind to shake. Everyone was startled. This was an existence that only appeared in legends. This was a real divine beast, unlike Shaoqing, who only had the bloodline of a divine beast. The aura of a divine beast made all living beings tremble in fear. This was an incomparably shocking scene. A living ancient divine beast had appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This was definitely a terrifying existence that surpassed the realm of almighty beings. Divine beasts like the true dragon and the phoenix had become legends during the late period of the desolate land. It was difficult for people to see them, but now, a godly phoenix had appeared. The Tanglong continent was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Gu Fei was extremely astounded. The emergence of the Heaven Ascension platform actually alarmed such extraordinary seniors, and it obviously showed that the Heaven Ascension platform was similarly extremely important to these seniors, and they didn't hesitate to reveal themselves in front of the world. However, what happened next made everyone's jaws drop. Roar! A tiger's roar was heard from afar. A white tiger the size of a mountain rushed over from afar. Everywhere it passed, mountains collapsed and the earth shook. A monstrous murderous aura swept over, causing everyone to tremble in fear. It was another real divine beast. This was an incomparably terrifying war tiger. Its roar could shake mountains and rivers. It could even kill sect leaders. The tiger's roar shook the heavens and the earth. Many people fell to the ground and couldn't stand up anymore. They were killed by the roar. Then, a black tortoise the size of a small mountain slowly crawled over from afar. It was as if a boundless ocean had suddenly appeared between the heavens and the earth. It had the body of a turtle and the head of a dragon. On its head was a pair of dragon horns. This was one of the 4 ancient divine beasts, the black tortoise. Even if it wasn't the divine beast that was born from the heavens and the earth, it still had its bloodline. This divine beast's background wasn't any weaker than the old turtle. After the black tortoise appeared, a dragon's roar came from the distance. An azure dragon tore through the void and appeared outside the chaotic zone. Another ancestral dragon! When Gu Fei saw the azure dragon, he sensed the unique aura of the ancestral dragon. This aura made Gu Fei's heart palpitate. The ancestral dragon's aura was vast and mighty. Everything in the world trembled. This was a fear that originated from the depths of their souls. The azure dragon, the white tiger, the divine phoenix, and the black tortoise. The arrival of the 4 legendary ancient divine beasts caused everyone to be indescribably shocked. These were the legendary ancient divine beasts, and they were much more terrifying than the almighty existences of the present age. Even if such an existence was not comparable to a supreme saint, it was probably close to it. Even in the untainted land of ancient times, the appearance of such a divine beast would cause a commotion. The guardians of the southern wastelands 4 holy clans? The legend is actually true. This is the foundation of the 100 races of the southern wasteland. Some people were discussing in low voices. Some people knew the origin of these 4 divine beasts. They were from the southern wasteland, the 4 holy clans of the southern wasteland. They had been protecting the 4 holy clans for countless years. The old antiques of the clan of the ancients seemed to know about the foundation of the 100 races of the southern wasteland. Therefore, even if they returned once every 10,000 years, they would not dare to do anything to the 100 races of the southern wasteland. A force that could survive for countless years was not simple. Gu Fei was inwardly shocked when he saw the 4 primordial divine beasts. The foundation of the 100 races of the southern wasteland was truly terrifying. There was actually an primordial divine beast in each of the 4 sacred races. No wonder the 100 races of the southern wasteland could contend with the forces of the clan of the ancients for thousands of years. The foundation they had was absolutely unimaginable. Unless the legendary Supreme Saint was born, there was probably no force in the entire Tenglong continent that would dare to provoke the 100 races of the southern wasteland that were guarded by ancient divine beasts. The 4 ancient divine beasts rushed over from afar. The aura of the divine beasts was so overwhelming that even the old tortoise and the mysterious yellow skeleton had to retreat. The 4 ancient divine beasts directly rushed to the front of the primal chaos zone. Their powerful pressure caused the void to crack and the ground to shatter. Then, the 4 ancient beasts each summoned an ancient beast mark that formed an ancient formation. It tore through the chaotic air and charged into the depths of the chaotic zone. 4 spirits' sacred executioner formation? The old tortoise and the mysterious yellow skeleton were taken aback. The 4 ancient divine beasts had formed an ancient formation with 4 pieces of bone beast markings. It had triggered the power of the great path of heaven and earth. Such mighty power could only be displayed by the legendary Extreme Path Saints, or the Supreme Saint Emperors of the demon race. This was the power of the Great Path Saints. The 4 ancient divine beasts, whose strength was comparable to Supreme Saints, actually had the means to combine the power of the four divine beasts with the formation to display the might of the Supreme Saint realm. The power of the four ancient divine beasts was equivalent to a Supreme Saint, or a Supreme Saint Emperor of the monster race, after they combined their power. Buzz! A deafening sound came from the primal chaos zone. The four divine beasts were actually fighting with the people in the primal chaos zone. The monstrous chaotic air was almost dispersed. The sky and earth collapsed. This was the destruction of a world. A terrifying force surged out. The Thai sovereign seal that floated above the old man trembled, blocking all the destructive force that was surging towards him. The mysterious yellow skeleton did not have an extreme saint weapon in its hand. It had no choice but to rush into the distance to avoid the terrifying power that surged out from the depths of the primal chaos zone. Under the protection of the extreme saint weapon, Gu Fei was not affected in the slightest. He vaguely saw an ancient stone platform floating in the primal chaos. There seemed to be two figures and an ancient formation on the stone platform. It was the avatar of the ancient Buddhist Lord, the terrifying existence from the heavenly demon palace, and the four ancient divine beasts unleashed an ancient formation to activate the power of the Great Path. This was a battle comparable to the battle between supreme saints. The void was turned into nothingness. From time to time, dazzling Buddhist lights could be seen piercing through the void and rushing out from the primal chaos zone. There were also chaotic demonic auras that broke through the void and pierced through the sky. The roars of the azure dragon, white tiger, divine phoenix, and black tortoise were constantly resounding. Everyone's target was the sky-piercing platform. The four ancient desolate faction almighties and some reclusive almighties could no longer interfere at this time. Even the current almighties would fall in a battle of this level. This was a battle that surpassed the realm of almighties. Among everyone present, perhaps only the old tortoise and the mysterious yellow skeleton had the power to fight. Chapter 993. There were many who came to fight for the supreme platform, but only the Buddhist Lord's clone, the existence in the heavenly demon palace, and the four ancient divine beasts of the 100 races of the southern wilderness were here. The old tortoise didn't make a move. He might not be able to win a battle of this level even if he had a sacred weapon. The old tortoise wouldn't take such a risk. The Buddhist Lord's clone took away the two sacred weapons that Gu Fei obtained from the Naraka realm. This made Gu Fei angry and shocked, but there was nothing he could do. Given his current strength, he couldn't even defeat a Buddhist almighty, let alone the Buddhist Lord's clone. The gap in cultivation couldn't be made up for with just a few sacred weapons. The fact that he was able to challenge a sect master was already considered heaven-defying. One should know that there was a huge gap between Gu Fei and the sovereign immortal emperor, Ancient King. A realm could be divided into 9 heavens. In the same realm, there was a huge difference between a first heavenly layer and a second heavenly layer cultivator, let alone an entire realm. Even if Gu Fei had a sacred weapon, he couldn't challenge the Almighty because it was simply courting death. A Almighty could easily take away Gu Fei's sacred weapon and then kill Gu Fei. This was also why Gu Fei didn't want to expose his sacred weapon. An extreme Dao holy weapon could make all the cultivators in the world jealous. Someone else's sacred weapon will always be someone else's. Gu Fei sighed. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel heartache after losing 2 sacred weapons. However, this made him even more determined to refine his own holy weapon of extreme Das. You're not stupid either, the old tortoise said. How could a sacred weapon refined by an extreme Dao saint be so easily taken away? The other 3 sacred weapons in Gu Fei's body were also in danger of being taken away. Of course, if the saint who refined the sacred weapons had fallen, then the 3 sacred weapons would belong to Gu Fei. Boom! At that moment, an earth-shattering rumble resounded from the depths of the chaotic zone. After that, a beam of chaotic divine light shot into the sky and tore open the heavens. What's going on? What happened? Everyone was shocked to the extreme, and even the expressions of the current world's supreme beings changed drastically. This was a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth. This terrifying power penetrated the heaven and earth of the sky market. This was the heaven and earth of the sky market. According to legend, this was a region that had fallen from the heaven realm. The heaven and earth power was extremely stable. Even immortals and gods would find it hard to break it. However, at this moment, a streak of chaotic divine light pierced through the entire space. It was too terrifying, a true power that could destroy heaven and earth. This was an unmatched method that only extreme Tao saints had. Did the great battle in the primal chaos have a result? Rumble! The world shook. That beam of primal chaos divine light pierced through the barrier of heaven and earth. No one knew where it went. Then, a vast and shocking aura came from the end of the beam of primal chaos divine light, sweeping across this part of the world. How is this possible? I can feel the aura of the heaven realm. The Purple Emperor, the Jiang family's God Emperor, the Yaobai Ancient Sacred Grounds female sage, and the Primordial Path Master were all dumbfounded after sensing this aura. Heaven realm, this is the aura of the heaven realm. They penetrated the heaven realm. The old turtle's expression changed drastically. He was the son of the Sacred Emperor, the supreme Sacred Emperor of the demon race. He was invincible in the 3 realms and 6 paths. He could go anywhere, so he naturally knew of the existence of the heaven realm and had been to it before. The old turtle was very familiar with the aura of the heaven realm. Rumble! An ancient sky palace rushed out of the chaotic zone and entered a chaotic passageway opened by the beam of chaotic divine light. It was the Sky Demon Palace. A tall figure stood in the middle of the Sky Palace and disappeared into the chaotic passageway together with the Sky Demon Palace. That is, the Sky Demon really didn't die. The yellowish skeleton and the old turtle were extremely shocked when they saw the figure. The soul fire in the yellowish skeleton's skull even pulsed violently. The Sky Demon was a name that could shock the world. In the untainted era, the demon race only had 2 supreme sacred emperors, but they were enough to intimidate all races and even supreme sages. Even though countless years had passed, the name of the Sky Demon was still enough to intimidate everyone. As the Sky Palace disappeared into the chaotic passageway, an ancient formation also rose into the sky and entered the chaotic passageway. 4 ancient divine beasts stood in the ancient formation. The moment the chaotic divine light penetrated the sky, powerful divine wills from all over the Tinglong continent swept across the depths of the sky market. Boom! Somewhere in the depths of an ancient mountain range in the Tinglong continent, a loud sound rang out. An endless amount of black gas surged out from the depths of the ancient mountain range. Then, as if the gates of hell had been opened, countless lonely souls and wild ghosts rushed out. The entire ancient mountain range immediately became a ghost domain. Countless ghostly shadows flickered in the black gas. A pale-faced middle-aged man wearing a crown walked out of the nether ghost energy. Then, the endless ghost energy immediately retreated like a receding tide. Countless ghostly figures, as well as the ghostly aura of the netherworld that enveloped this part of the world, all gathered towards the middle-aged man and then entered his body. This middle-aged man was the supreme ghost emperor who had dared to fight a true demon in the past. Has someone opened the path to heaven? Now is not the time yet. The ghost emperor stood high in the sky. Although there was a blazing sun above his head, the mighty yang qi from the sun did not affect the ghost emperor. This was the ghost emperor of Plentiful City. He did not fear sunlight. Even during the day, he could come and go freely without any apprehension. Ordinary wandering ghosts would definitely not dare to appear under the blazing sun. This was because the ghost body was an extreme yin body, which clashed with the yang qi. The yang qi could eliminate the yin qi. Even someone as powerful as the ghost emperor would suffer a great loss of vitality if he appeared under the blazing sun. Subsequently, the ghost emperor of Plentiful City disappeared into the void. In the next moment, the void outside the sky market suddenly shattered, and a figure walked out from the shattered void. This person was the ghost emperor of Plentiful City who had just disappeared above the ancient mountain range. In the blink of an eye, he had crossed the barrier of the endless void and appeared outside the sky market. This kind of cultivation and this kind of method were truly incredible. At this time, the clone of the Millennium Buddha Master did not enter the chaotic passageway. Instead, he disappeared into the void and disappeared without a trace. Heavenly realm. Damn it, I'll risk it. Chapter 994. The primal chaos divine light originated from the heaven-reaching platform. It pierced through the great heaven and earth, leading to an unknown end. However, everyone went crazy, because there was a super-living fossil that had survived from the prehistoric era that sensed the aura of the heaven realm. The heavenly realm was an ancient name that had already become a legend. Some said that the primordial powers came from the heavenly realm. During the late primitive era, a great change occurred and the path to heaven was completely severed. Some experts from the heavenly realm were trapped in the mortal world, unable to return. Only by finding the legendary ancient gate of heaven or the supreme Taoist ancestors' supreme platform would they be able to return to the heavenly realm. The sky-reaching platform was originally in the primordial Tao sect. It was the sect-protecting treasure of the primordial Tao sect. This was an extreme Tao sacred platform that could make anyone go crazy. This was because it could connect the mortal world and the heavenly realm, opening the path to heaven. The appearance of the supreme platform shocked the world. The entire cultivation world was shaken. Countless old antiques and living fossils jumped out. More than a dozen hidden almighty figures had come. Even in the Great Desolate Era, such figures were experts who could move unhindered in a region. They were supreme figures of a region. The 4 guardian beasts of the southern desolate 100 races also came with a supreme formation to fight against the avatar of the Buddhist Lord and the terrifying existence from the Sky Demon Palace. In the end, the supreme platform was completely activated by these people. It displayed its supreme divine might and unexpectedly opened up a chaotic path in the void. The aura of the heavenly realm came from the end of the chaotic path. The super antiques and freakish living fossils that had lived for who knew how long went crazy. People constantly rushed out from their hiding places and directly charged towards the chaotic passageway. In the eyes of mortal cultivators, the heavenly realm was a holy land, the home of the strong. It was a heaven and earth that was one level higher than the mortal world. It was the driving force for all cultivators to move forward. The old turtle didn't hesitate and used the Grand Sovereign Seal to protect himself. He grabbed Gu Fei and rushed into the chaotic path ahead. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, the mysterious yellow skeleton turned into a mysterious yellow divine light and rushed over. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared at the end of the chaotic channel. If I don't leave now, when will I? The Purple Emperor of the Primordial Immortal sect shouted loudly. Purple chi spread for 30,000 miles, dyeing the entire world purple. It was as if Emperor Xian was patrolling the sky. With a step, he stepped into the chaos passageway. What was the purpose of the ancient desolate era's forces searching for millions of years? Wasn't it to return to the heaven realm? The primordial Tao ancestor, the martial monarch of the Jiang clan, and the sacred lady of the Yaovai ancient sacred ground could no longer sit still. They immediately charged forward with their sacred weapons. Now, no one cared about anything else. Everyone rushed over from afar. Among these people, there were hidden almighties, terrifying great demons, and even Ghost Monarch Plentiful City, who had cultivated the Ghost Monarch physique and was covered in ghostly chi, had appeared. All the major powers of the current era had rushed into the passageway of chaos, followed by the sect masters, followed by the immortal king and Shin king of the profound transformation realm. When the path to heaven appeared, no one could calm down. They all wanted to rush in immediately and enter the legendary heaven realm. It's not time to reopen the 3 realms and 6 Taos. Just as everyone was rushing into the depths of the sky market, a loud voice suddenly resounded. Then, it spread to the heavens and the earth. It reverberated in the entire eastern region and even out of the eastern region. Some people in the Central Plains heard this voice. This is... Everyone who was rushing into the depths of the sky market was stunned. This voice was like the evening drum and morning bell. It actually shook their souls and woke them up. Swoosh! Outside the sky market, a white figure walked in the void and instantly arrived in front of the passageway of chaos in the depths of the sky market. With a wave of his hand, those who hadn't rushed into the passageway of chaos flew away. Even if there were phenomenal succession king and immortal emperor among them, they didn't have any power to resist. With a wave of his hand, all the immortals and spirits flew away. This method was truly terrifying. Those who were rushing over were all stunned. "Ghost Monarch Plentiful City! It's Ghost Monarch Plentiful City!" Immediately, someone shouted. This white-robed man who was wearing an ancient crown was the Ghost Monarch who had fought endlessly with the true demon in the northern lands. "It's really him! He also wants to enter the heavenly realm." In the depths of the sky market, there were many people who had experienced the great turmoil of the northern lands. Many of them had seen Ghost Monarch Fingdu's glory. It was at that time that the mysterious Ghost Monarch Fingdu displayed his supreme battle prowess in front of the world for the first time. He was able to fight against the demon ancestor. As the saying goes, a person's name is like a tree's shadow. Ghost Monarch Fingdu's name was enough to suppress everyone in the sky market. So it was an accident. A divine eye appeared between Ghost Monarch Fingdu's eyebrows. It directly pierced through the power of chaos and looked into the chaotic zone in front of him. Then he said such words. "Accident? What accident?" Those who were swept away by Ghost Monarch Fingdu's sleeve rushed back from afar. Ghost Monarch Fingdu didn't kill them, so they were all unharmed. Then, a shocking scene appeared. Ghost Monarch Fingdu directly extended his hand and pressed forward. The chaotic zone in front of him was immediately pacified by an unfathomable power. The shattered void of heaven and earth was reforming, and the terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth was being suppressed. Everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of method was this? To think that it could even suppress a power that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, causing the shattered world to reform. Soon, the chaotic zone of tens of thousands of miles was rapidly shrinking. In the end, a chaotic Tao platform appeared in the void. On the Tao platform, a primal divine light soared into the sky. It shattered the void and pierced through the world. No one knew where it led to. At the end of the primal divine light, the aura of the heavenly realm came down. Tao Ancestor. Seeing the ancient stone platform floating in the primal origin essence, even Ghost Monarch Fingdu became absent-minded. He seemed to be thinking of an incomparably long-ago matter. Then, he walked forward and directly entered the primal origin essence. Then, he ascended the ancient stone platform and entered the primal divine light. He really wants to enter the heavenly realm. Seeing this scene, almost everyone revealed an, as expected, expression. The heavenly realm also had such a great temptation for Ghost Monarch Fingdu. It was really surprising. However, in the next moment, these people were dumbfounded again. Ghost Monarch Fingdu didn't soar into the sky and enter the chaotic channel. Instead, his entire body was filled with endless ghost Tao power. He actually wanted to use his own cultivation to suppress the divine might of the supreme sky platform under his feet. The immortal Tao runes that appeared on the ancient stone platform also dimmed. The primal chaos divine light that rushed out from the Skirich platform almost collapsed, as if the Skirich path was about to be severed. At this time, the bewildered people finally knew what Ghost Emperor Fingdu wanted to do. Not only did he not want to enter the heaven realm, he actually wanted to suppress the sky platform and cut off the path to heaven. "Senior Ghost Emperor, don't! We can't cut off the path to heaven!" Everyone turned pale with fright. Someone immediately shouted and rushed forward. However, when those people rushed to the side of the sky connecting platform, they were blown away by a force. Everyone was shocked and angry at the same time. Ghost Emperor Fingdu actually wanted to cut off everyone's path to heaven. Some people directly rushed forward and wanted to enter the primal chaos passageway. However, people were constantly being blown away. No one could enter the primal chaos passageway. The entire primal chaos passageway seemed to be sealed by Ghost Emperor Fingdu. Bam! A resplendent divine light emitted an astonishing energy fluctuation and struck forward. The entire heaven and earth shook. A sect master level character used an almighty sacred weapon to open the path to heaven. However, the almighty sacred weapon couldn't change anything. It couldn't break through Ghost Emperor Fengdu's power at all. Even that almighty sacred weapon was blown away by the Tao power drawn by Ghost Emperor Fengdu. Rumble! Ghost Emperor Fengdu stood on the ancient stone platform and circulated his mystic technique with all his strength. He drew the power of the great Tao to suppress the sky connecting platform. The Tao runes on the sky connecting platform gradually dimmed. The divine might of this extreme sacred weapon was suppressed, and the power of the great Tao gradually weakened. As a result, the primal chaos divine light that rushed out from the sky connecting platform gradually dissipated. The path to heaven was about to disappear. Everyone was going crazy. This was the only chance to enter the heavenly realm. No one wanted to miss it. However, Ghost Emperor Fengdu deprived everyone of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The path to heaven was about to collapse. Senior Ghost Emperor, quickly stop! Senior Ghost Emperor, why do you want to cut off the path to heaven? I hate it! Everyone shouted one after another, but Ghost Emperor Fengdu turned a deaf ear to them. He continued to circulate his Tao power to suppress the sky connecting platform, and the divine might emitted from it. Everyone was in despair. Ghost Emperor Fengdu was so powerful that he could suppress an extreme sacred weapon. Who in this world could be Ghost Emperor Fengdu's opponent? Unless it was the eternal Buddha Lord's clone that had disappeared, perhaps he could contend against Ghost Emperor Fengdu. The sky connecting platform shook. Ghost Emperor Fengdu displayed his supreme divine might. He stepped on the ancient stone platform and used his own power to draw the great Tao to suppress the stone platform, causing the primal chaos passageway to gradually collapse. Roar! Seeing that the primal chaos passageway was about to collapse, many people's expressions turned ferocious. They then took out their magic treasures and attacked Ghost Emperor Fengdu on the ancient stone platform. Boom! The power of the great Tao surged. An ancient Tao rune gushed out from beneath Ghost Emperor Fengdu's feet and spread out in all directions, enveloping the entire ancient stone platform. Endless Tao runes circulated. All the magic treasures that came into contact with the layer of Tao runes silently crumbled and turned into dust. Even the Emperor Divine weapons were no exception. A golden divine bell couldn't even let out a bell ring before it turned into a pile of golden dust that drifted between the heaven and earth. A divine sword soared 10,000 zhang into the sky, splitting the void. However, when it came into contact with the layer of Tao runes, it also crumbled without a sound. This was the extreme Tao divine rune that could display the power of the extreme Tao. Unless a saint of the extreme Tao personally came, no one would be able to break it. Only an extreme sacred weapon could resist it. More than a dozen immortal emperors and Shin King were sent flying while coughing out blood. Their magic treasures were destroyed, and they also suffered a great impact. An immortal emperor's glabella cracked open, looking extremely ferocious and terrifying. Bang! A huge tremor resounded. The entire Supreme Tao platform was trampled down from the sky by Ghost Emperor Fengdu. The primal chaos origin essence was completely suppressed and sank into the Supreme Tao platform. No, the path to heaven, how can this be? The Supreme Tao platform was completely suppressed by Ghost Emperor Fengdu. The path to heaven created by the Supreme Tao platform disappeared. At this moment, many people couldn't help but wail. What was the purpose of a cultivator's cultivation? Wasn't it to ascend to the heaven realm? The path to heaven was right in front of them, but they missed it. This almost drove everyone crazy. The only path to heaven to enter the heaven realm was cut off by Ghost Emperor Fengdu. A few people didn't dare to disregard it, and madly attacked Ghost Emperor Fengdu, who was descending from the sky. However, how could they be a match for Ghost Emperor Fengdu? Ghost King Fengdu waved his sleeve, and those people flew out. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. It was unknown where they were swept to. Hiss! Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Ghost Emperor Fengdu was truly abnormally strong. Someone recognized that one of the people sent flying by Ghost Emperor Fengdu was a Grand Completion Immortal Emperor Shin King. Even the Grand Completion Shin King was like an ant in front of Ghost Emperor Fengdu. The others didn't dare to act rashly. The luck of these people was too bad. When the path to heaven was opened, they hesitated for a moment. They didn't rush into the primal chaos passageway like those current supreme experts. Among these people, there was no lack of grand completion immortal emperors and Shin King. However, these grand completion immortal emperors and Shin King only grew up after the destruction of the great desolate world. They didn't know whether there was really a heaven realm at the end of the primal chaos passageway or not. It was too late to regret now. Boom! Ghost Emperor Fingdu directly stomped the ancient heavenly platform down to the ground. At this time, the Tao runes that emerged on the ancient heavenly platform had already disappeared into the ancient heavenly platform. The entire sky-piercing platform once again became simple and ordinary. All kinds of miracles had already disappeared. No one could believe that such an ordinary stone platform was actually an extreme saint artifact that could connect to the heaven realm and open a path to the heaven path. Just as Ghost Emperor Fingdu was about to put away the ancient heavenly platform, all the cultivators were extremely jealous. That was an extreme sacred tool, a sacred weapon refined by a sage. Even if it couldn't connect to the heaven realm, it was still a supreme sacred tool. However, at this time, the entire heaven and earth suddenly darkened. An extremely terrifying aura descended from the sky. In an instant, all the living beings within 100,000-mile radius of the heavenly market prostrated, as if they were welcoming the arrival of a supreme sage. They were trembling in fear. And Ghost Emperor Fingdu, who was standing on the ancient heavenly platform, raised his head and frowned. His expression became a little strange, as if he had thought of something. Bang! The entire heaven and earth shattered in an instant. A huge mountain descended from the shattered heaven and earth. It was a sacred mountain shrouded in immortal light. Rumble! The descent of the sacred mountain was an extremely shocking scene. There was actually a sacred mountain that crossed the boundary to come here. Such means and divine ability were truly unimaginable. At the moment when the void shattered and the sacred mountain descended, all the living beings within 100,000-mile radius of the heavenly market were pressed to the ground by a terrifying pressure. It was too terrifying. Even the grand completion immortal emperors and Shin King couldn't resist this pressure. Only Ghost Emperor Fingdu, who was standing on the ancient heavenly platform, remained calm. The person who came was definitely a terrifying existence on the same level as him.